expecting here. This is as close as it gets, so tough to call.
Absolutely, yeah. The last couple of years these guys have played, Kildare won by 2 points last year, and then the O'Byrne Cup final this year, Westmeath won by a point, so expect it to be an extremely close encounter.
Yeah, really looking forward to the game here now today, David. After that national anthem, I'm ready to go and play. What about you?
Yeah, we've marked each other a couple of times in championship football, but I'm on the right side of the line today.
Westmeath winning the ball off the throw, and it was dropped then by Paddy Whittaker, who's had a brilliant championship so far, and Kildare look to put their first attack of the game in motion. Here is Tommy Gill from the Carvery Club, and across it goes to Brian Byrne. So Westmeath settling into their defensive structure. A free scoring Westmeath side that have torched the opposition defences of Longford and Laois, scoring 9 goals in those 2 games. Here is Dara Kerwin. He scored just the 1 point in the win over Westmeath last season. A win for Kildare that was helped an awful lot by the departure in the 38th minute of Ray Connellan. He'll hope to play a huge role for Westmeath here today. Kildare attacking well here through Tommy Gill, and that's put across the face of goal and the first wide of the afternoon.
Yeah, missed opportunity there by Kildare. It's interesting what's going on around the field in terms of matchups.
Yeah, I just looking at seeing Kevin O'Sullivan when tagging Kevin Feely for that.
And there was a risky kick out from Jason Daly, and making something of it for his goalkeeper was Shane Allen. He took a bang himself in the warm-up, but Kildare have got that loose ball, and away they go again. James McGrath now from the county champions at Tadhg, and back out it goes to Brian Byrne from the club that was dethroned in Kildare last year, Naas. And now the captain, Kevin Feely, brings so much experience to what is a relatively youthful looking Kildare team. Feely made his 50th championship appearance against Laois in the Leinster quarter-final, became the 11th player from Kildare to do so. Here's Tommy Gill again.
Kildare, interesting with the wind, have just they've sent Brendan Gibbons in full forward now, David, with the last 2 plays. There's a score inside the ground. Yeah.
The opening score of the game comes courtesy of Kildare, and their inside forward Eoin Cully, who started as he means to go on, and as he did against Laois, he was superb in that quarter-final. 1-4 from Kerwin, a full forward, 5 from Cully, and Cully's got the opening score of the game, and he's looking to get something else here as he beats Charlie Drumm to it. Loses the ball and his footing, and Drumm's refusing to let go of that one. It does break back out towards Feely. It's interesting what you mentioned, John. We were looking at the other semi-final, Leinster last night, and habitually Dublin had 2 towering figures in Shawnee McMahon and Paddy O'Cuffey Byrne in around the edge of the square for the majority of the game. The ball wasn't kicked into them once. Will Kildare maybe take a different tack? Here's the other corner forward, Ben Lokeman, who swings that one over. The man from the Sarsfield club, who's one of the new faces in the Kildare side this year, made his debut in the last round against Laois, marked it with a goal, and he's got his first score here today.
Yeah, and it is very interesting in terms of what Kildare are doing. They're pushing Brendan Gibbons and Kevin Feely inside, and we have some of those key marksmen around the arc. Ben Lokeman's after getting the point out of it already, and Eoin Cully as well, so that kind of new typical tactic.
Yeah, they create a separation between the lads on the outside and the lads on the inside. That space is exactly where Eoin Cully got his first point.
Well, Westmeath might need to find a response here. Here's Tadhg Baker. His brother Senan is back in the squad and on the field today, having not featured from the start in 2 years. He was away last year. Here comes Ray Connellan now, trying to bend that one in. It's turning. Oh, that is as sweetly struck an effort on goal as you could ever wish to see. Ray Connellan with a towering score to have the deficit.
Yeah, Westmeath are going to rely on Ray a lot today. It was a great start for Ray. The ball was switched by Tadhg Baker, and they were patient in their build-up. Sam McCartan was coming off the shoulder, but Ray didn't need him, just bet his man and swung it over.
It is very interesting what way Westmeath are cutting up on the Kildare kickouts there. They've gone for a 4-4-3, press 4 inside, 4 in the middle and 3 out the back, so they obviously even fancy themselves to kind of win that midfield battle against Feely, Bolton and Gibbons out the back.
Connellan getting the orders barked into his ear by the very close Mark McHugh. Connellan, the only player in this Westmeath side that knows what it takes to reach a Leinster final, played in the 2015 and 16 deciders, and he knows what it takes to beat Kildare in a Leinster championship fixture also. I'm sure he'll have been messaging that to his teammates over the course of the build-up. Here's Shane Allen now from Athlone. Space on that far side for Kevin O'Sullivan, county medalist with the Downs late last year. He was pushed to the ground, the referee deciding it was no need to play the advantage, should go straight for the free in, and Westmeath will have an opportunity to draw themselves level.
Yeah, with the new rules, when you get that one-on-one, like Westmeath have a lot of lively lads in that forward line. And Kevin O'Sullivan, again, a great man with a turn of pace, just went at it, got the jersey pull, a little bit of a push, and it gives Ray a chance here from a free. We mentioned before the game, Ray isn't actually a natural free taker, well able to strike the ball as we just saw, so it's a nice settler for Ray after his first shot.
Absolutely, yeah, and if they're going level now after the first 6 minutes, that'll be really good. Another interesting matchup there to note, John, is just Eoin Lawlor's come the whole way out of centre back to mark Ronan Wallace, who's coming from wing back, so that's very interesting.
Well, Ray Connellan spent a lot of his warm-up in that exact part of the field, practicing frees off that left foot. Of course, that man is unavailable for the free-taking duties today, but he'll be happy with how Ray Connellan and this Westmeath side have started on their level after 6 minutes. Kildare, brilliantly won by James McGrath. He just got a little call inside. I'm not quite sure who he was targeting with that pass, because there was a little hand pass available to him through the middle. Bringing the ball away for Westmeath is the captain, Ronan Wallace, who was absolutely superb in that Byrne Cup final victory over Kildare back in January. It may not have meant an awful lot at the time, but it was a trophy, and it just set Westmeath on a decent course for what has been an interesting year, to say the least. Looked like they had promotion to Division 2 of the Football League secured until a late smash and grab from Wexford down in Wexford Town, and that we know they have done since against Longford, and more importantly against Meath. For many people, the favourites for this year's Leinster Championship before a ball was thrown in. Here's Sam McCartan now, leaves it behind him for Ronan Wallace. Wallace just outside the arc, rolling around, and behind him was Matty Whittaker. Picked up again by Sam McCartan.
It's really interesting what Westmeath are doing here. They're kind of overloading on this left-hand side, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for a one-on-one match up the far side after a few plays.
Shane Corcoran, who's been in sparkling form in the championship so far, lays one off to Cooney. His father was the manager that led to the Tadhg Cup championship victory a couple of years back, but that's just been pulled to the right and wide. It's the first wide of the game for Westmeath.
Westmeath are showing a good bit of maturity now to keep that ball. Like, you know, Kildare gave that ball away inside, Charlie Drumm turned it over. That'll give Westmeath a boost after there was a tussle in midfield between Sam McCartan and Kevin Feely. But Westmeath are keeping the ball and trying to get into that scoring position. Again, they're going with that 4-4-3 for the kick out, David.
Yeah, and look, they're really well set. Look at this. They actually have overcommitted on that one, but they fancy themselves out the back.
Yeah, a couple of Westmeath lads going for the same ball, just meant a little bit of space open up in behind Brendan Gibbons, and around on the loop they come and trying to swing one over on that left-hand side. Expertly done again from Ben Lopeman, who gets his second of the game, and Westmeath are going to have to put some shackles on this young man, who was one of the outstanding forwards in the Kildare under-20 side last year, and he is really taking the game to that Westmeath defence at the moment.
Yeah, so we mentioned that Kildare playing with that bit of a win, so they need to go and get as many scores up on the board as they can, and no problems with Ben Lopeman or Eoin Cully when you give him that space.
Yeah, and Lopeman had a really good league, probably Kildare's strongest forward. He's picked up where he left off there, and two really good kind of marquee loop scores from a corner forward.
So there is not a huge breeze, but whatever there is certainly favouring Kildare in this first half, as the skies continue to darken over Tullamore in front of an absolutely massive crowd. Here go Kildare again now, looking to establish a 2-point lead for the second time of the game. He's playing with an advantage, Tommy Gill, which he will not lead. The man from Carbery, part of that brilliant minor team from 7 years ago now, has got his first score of this year's championship.
Interesting to see what Kildare are doing on this kick out here. They're actually leaving 4 out the back. They're having 4 up and on the inside line and 3 across the middle. They don't seem to be too concerned around that 6 pocket.
That ball's going to go straight out over the sideline.
They'll be happy with that press.
Yeah, Jason Daly just probably didn't have the options, David, as you mentioned there. Kildare got their line up there right, pushed a lot of lads in, committed there, but Jason Daly just didn't have the options out over the line. They're in here.
Well, they've overcommitted again, Westmeath. There could be a goal chance here for Kildare. What a stop that is from Daly, foiling Cully, who just sneaked in behind. And that's maybe a little spark for Westmeath is to up their game a little, because Eoin Cully will feel he should have put that ball into the back of the net.
Yeah, look, Cully looked very sharp there. Really good backdoor cut and opened himself up for a goal. You think he'd maybe outrun the keeper there, but unfortunately he didn't get that score.
Very deep at the moment was Dara Kerwin, and he's taken that one back again and clips it goalwards with his right foot, and that is well wide in the end. Second wide of the game for Kildare.
Yeah,
They're pushing right up now on this Westmeath kick out, looking to peg them back as best they can.
a 4-3-4 here from Kildare. 4 lads on the inside. Jason Daly's gone long, top of Feely.
Feely's claimed it in the end. He played a good ball forward towards Dara Swords. He's trying to take on Daniel Scahill.
Dara Swords is actually kind of playing the inside line there. We would have expected Dara Kerwin to start there and kind of lead the line, but maybe that's a tactic from Flanagan to not get tied up with Drumm in that kind of physical battle.
Here is Gill again, who actually did get a couple of points in the quarter-final win over Laois, so he's got 3 in this year's championship now. There might be a little bit of space now for Lookman to move into. Lovely pick up from the inside forward, and a little dance off his left foot. Well, they have to get to grips with him. He's had 3 shots on goal, he's raised 3 white flags, and the lead is now out to 3 points.
Yeah, we just saw probably just as he came in, lovely shimmy here. He gets a bit of space and tips it over the bar. But what we didn't see probably on screen just before that, Kildare had 6 men inside, which gives them a 5v5, and ultimately they got a free man over here that created that score for Lookman.
Yeah, that structure is really working for them. Westmeath kind of seem to be matching those numbers as opposed to trying to split their deck, and the likes of Lookman and Cully are getting a bit of joy around that arc.
Ball rolls back out towards Conor Dillon now. Westmeath need to run a response, as they did when they conceded the opening couple of scores of the game. Here's Wallace now. Only 1 man inside, and that's Shane Corcoran, so Wallace keeps it short. Connellan forced onto his right foot. Will he take the shot on? He doesn't look quite as comfortable, and the result isn't quite the same either.
With Loughlin missing there, I think Wallace had an opportunity to kick the ball into Corcoran in a one-on-one scenario there. They probably put a bit more focus on that running game, but there is opportunity still to kick in there, so we need to kind of take them when it pops up too.
Yeah, with that pressure that Kildare have put on, and the fact that Kildare have to win, Westmeath need to hold the ball and don't be wasting the shots like that from Ray.
Well, they could have a real opportunity here. Taking on is Corcoran. Corcoran drives it over the bar. It's a really good effort from him. The man from the St. Malachy's club gets his first score of the game, and it's an important one for Westmeath, one which they needed. They're about to make a change, Westmeath, very early in the game. So Shane Ormsby has come in for Matthew Whittaker, John, and you can imagine, you can see his lower right leg is heavily strapped. You can only imagine that is injury related, because he is a crucial player for Westmeath, the man who's already scored 1-3 in this year's championship. Well, Shane Ormsby, who's a real talent as well, he'll have a big job in his hands for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, we mentioned Matty Whittaker kind of spent a bit of time in a boot the last 2 weeks. They're really trying to mind him, kept it under wraps. He will be a loss, but Shane Ormsby in here now will come in. Hopefully he can get to grips with it in midfield. Yeah,
it's very, very interesting. Usually your kind of kick out is a bit of an opportunity. You have the ball and you're usually up above 60-70% here, but I think both of the kick out presses are really winning the battle in the middle at the moment.
Here's Connellan. And now Brandon Kelly. It's opened up a little for Kelly here. And he's got a good turn of pace. Pops it off to Corcoran. Corcoran, who scored his first with his left, will not be adding it to it with his right. And that's a 3rd wide of the game for Westmeath.
Yeah, Westmeath committed 4 or 5 lads inside just to create that space for Brandon Kelly to turn the pace. Shane Corcoran unlucky with the shot.
You can see both of these two sides are operating around about 50% when it comes to winning their own kickouts. Kildare going right into the corner with Eoin Cully. Cully trying to lose his marker, Charlie Drumm, and he has done so. Little ball back inside to Kerwin! Another goal chance comes and goes for Kildare. Jason Daly has been an important figure in this game, in the Westmeath goal.
Yeah, it came from a great win by Callum Bolton in the middle, a kind of AFL style catch. Feely put a direct ball in there to Eoin Cully, and Eoin Cully's a quick chap, 10.8 metres per second, so for anyone who's into the GPS, and he's getting himself on Drumm a good bit, so they'll want to change that, Westmeath.
It's a nice score taken by Callum Bolton off the instep of his left, and that moves Kildare 1 point further clear. But here was the goal chance, John, that Kildare will really feel they should have taken. Dara Kerwin, and it's straight off the knees of the cornerback Daniel Scahill. So two really good goal scoring opportunities have been created by Kildare, and they haven't taken either of them as we approach the quarter of an hour mark. Down to this near terrace side they go. What a piece of fielding that is from Brian Cooney, and he releases it quickly. Sam McCartan now. Little ball into the chest of Shane Corcoran. Been shown the outside by Ryan Burke. Corcoran back out to Cooney.
We saw with Dublin last night, they just took the sting out of the game a lot with Louth, and Westmeath could doing that here now. Kildare have gotten the last few scores. Westmeath, if they keep the ball, work the ball into a scoring position, they need to do that, settle themselves into the game.
Kevin O'Sullivan. And now Connellan. Shane Allen. Across to Kevin O'Sullivan again. O'Sullivan does well to lose two would-be tacklers and slides a beautiful ball inside, and a chance for Westmeath. Brandon Kelly sees his effort blocked away, and then it's picked straight off the ground by Ronan Wallace.
Not sure about that one. I think that might have been a bit harsh. I think there's a bit of air underneath that one.
Kildare getting on with things as we get another look at that goal opportunity for Kelly. Feely put his body on the line for his county there. Got a really good block in.
That's leadership there.
Forward by Tommy Gill, gets it back again from Feely. There's a flow to this Kildare attack. Gill involved once more. Brought down by Scahill. The referee was right on the spot though. And now it comes to Feely again. Across to Brian Byrne. Kerwin. Byrne again. Somewhat of a late bloomer. Brian Byrne only made his debut in the championship a couple of years ago, but he's 30 years of age now. Back towards Dara Swords, gets a call outside him. And be taken on by Harry O'Neill. He lasted just a few minutes of this game last year against Westmeath, got an awful kick to the head and was forced off very early. In from the start today wearing 17. Eoin Cully. Again, just puts the jets on, manufactures the space for himself and the shooting opportunity, but couldn't get enough on it to threaten the goal of Jason Daly.
Yeah, look, he was probably entitled to take the shot on the form he's in, but again, this is repeat patterns in a structured attack by Kildare. They had 6 deep, tried to isolate the Cullys and the Lokmans on the arc, and it's something that McHugh will have to probably look at.
Here's Ormsby. His younger brother was part of the under-20 side, beaten by Kildare in this year's Leinster Championship, taken on by O'Sullivan. And a rare touch for Senan Baker, who's not been in the game at all at full forward. An opportunity maybe for McCartan, he just puts the brakes on and uses Ormsby again. Back out they go, working it to Shane Allen. Little dink ball in around the edge of the D. Conor Dillon. A lovely side set from Dillon, and he just breezes into the space, and then off his left he goes. That would be a great score if he could supply the finish, which he's unable to do.
Yeah, great effort by Conor Dillon. He's poking holes. The space just opened up for him. Unfortunately for Conor Dillon and Westmeath, just wide off the left foot. Again, it's coming back, building that bit of pressure on Westmeath. Westmeath need to try and work them back out to a high percentage shot.
Well, that one's overcooked by Cian Burke in the Kildare goal. He actually made his championship debut against Westmeath in the Leinster Championship last year. It's actually the 16th time in 18 years that Kildare have reached the provincial semi-final, but their record at this stage of the competition is pretty awful. They've won just 4 of their last 16 Leinster semi-finals that they've contested, although 2 of those 4 wins have come against today's opposition. Crowd goes quiet as Westmeath begin, for the moment, as a ponderous build-up. Maybe Sam McCartan can inject something into it.
Just interesting, just not caught on the screen.
Well, that might break fortuitously to Brian Cooney, who bent his back to pick it up, and he was shunted off it by Brian Burke. Referee was happy with that challenge. Harry O'Neill does it well to avoid over-carrying it. Strength there for Ryan Burke once more. And the game maybe just needs that sort of physical confrontation just to bring a bit more life to it. As Kildare look to work it down this right-hand side.
Kildare are really well set up at the back. I know Feely was isolated with Ray Connellan, didn't overcommit, and he got that some help defence from Bolton.
Yeah, but just interesting, I saw the call from Ray. He was telling the lads to get inside. Westmeath didn't get set up into the structure that they wanted, and ultimately led to a turnover. In the games like this, at this level, you need to be getting into what you've practiced on, and it just didn't happen there for Westmeath in that play.
Here's Tommy Gill. Also goes to Dara Swords. Swords looking to take on Tadhg Baker, leaves it off to Kerwin, who caresses that ball over the bar from just inside the arc. It's a really well taken score from the Naas full forward. It's his first of the day.
That's very hard marked. We talked about Derek Kerwin for the game. He came in from the right hand side on the left foot. Ronan Wallace just gave him that few yards, and Derek Kerwin, you give him them yards, he's going to slot it over the bar.
Well, Westmeath got the kick out away very effectively. There's a foul there by James McGrath on McCartan. They're getting on with it, Westmeath. Inside it goes to Corcoran, then blocked down. It's rather telegraphed, that one. The Westmeath corner forward. They are creating opportunities in there, Westmeath, but they're taking very few of them.
You'd be looking for a little bit of leadership there, Dave. You know, Shane Corcoran, an excellent young player, but ultimately Westmeath needed to slow that ball down. They're after winning a free. Was that an opportunity for Sam McCartan maybe to have a shot at a 2-pointer? But we played on, we got blocked, Westmeath got blocked, and now Kildare down the field again.
Trying to take it down the field is Mark Dempsey, being pursued by Kevin O'Sullivan into the final quarter of an hour of this first half.
Yeah, Kildare seem to be very happy to just go into those structured attacks. I think a lot of credit has to go to Brian Flanagan, that he didn't kind of jump the gun and put in Ben McCormick, Alex Byrne, Jack Robinson, these kind of lads coming back from injury. Kildare were very balanced in their attack and play and clicked the last day, and they seem to be clicking again today.
James McGrath.
Kildare are happy to go slow here. They've put lads in, they're trying to get their main men isolated on a 1v1. Westmeath got a free out here, something off the ball.
And to left Charlie Drumm on the ground. So will there be... It's Brendan Gibbons who's been accused of deliberately charging at Charlie Drumm just to try and create a bit of space in there. Well, this was another incident from a little earlier in the first half, that incident that took place off the ball. It was involving Cooney and James McGrath. There was a stray elbow, to put it generously, there that was not spotted by the officials. Brian Cooney maybe getting away with one there. Here come Westmeath though. Tadhg Baker has advanced as we've seen him at any point in the first half so far. He was part of the under-20 setup last year. They got to the All-Ireland B final, Tadhg Baker. He was their captain, and he might get his hands on it again here. But again, the Westmeath attack breaking down. Recycled initially, and he's looking to get away with that one, Ronan Wallace. It may well work out for them. Kevin O'Sullivan suddenly found himself with all the time in the world. There was an element of good fortune on more than one occasion in that Westmeath attack, but it's resulted in a much-needed score. Yeah, Westmeath
got a bit of luck there. They needed every bit of it. Again, probably going on that first passage of play rather than slowing it down, as Kildare did in the last play. Good turnover here from Senan Baker.
Off goes Baker now. Little ball inside to Cooney is available. If he wants it, Baker might just take it through and clip it over the bar. Second time in this first half they've got a couple of scores in a row, and they've reduced that 4-point deficit to just 2.
Yeah, Cian Burke got a really good kick out off into the corner. James McGrath was probably a bit gassed and got turned over. Here we go again, similar kick out. They got turned over and got a good score as well. That's 2 back-to-back, and you can really feel the momentum shifting in this game here.
A little bit of a confidence boost for Senan Baker, who spent last summer in Boston. He hasn't played for Westmeath in the Championship since they played Derry up in Uri in their last group game a couple of years ago. Brought back in to replace and try and fill the shoes of Luke Loughlin, which is not easily done, but that'll be a real confidence booster for him. Now it's with Callum Bolton. Cross to James McGrath.
And Kildare happy to go at this pace again. When James McGrath got the ball there, he's 12 yards free, and like Westmeath need to get closer to the men here. Kildare happy to go slow until they get set up into the play, David, as you mentioned, looking for those 1v1s here in the arc.
Swords lays one back towards Lokeman, who's been the star of the Kildare attack so far today, and he's looking for a 4th point here. He's losing Cooney, and Lokeman has hit the upright. Breaks back out for Kildare, and they'll recycle it through Eoin Lawlor. An opportunity maybe for Cully. And now Swords. Kerwin lurking around the edge of the arc as well. He's taking it now outside the 45. He's being watched closely by Shane Allen. Westmeath struggling to get any contact on these Kildare forwards as they just drift around 40 yards from goal. Cully. Coming out of the corner forward position is Bolton. This is Tommy Gill. Out towards Lokeman again. They've loaded up that inside forward line with 4 players within 13 yards of the goal, but they won't see it because it's been broken up by Westmeath.
It was a great turnover from Conor Dillon. The first time Westmeath have really got in the face of the Kildare men. Up until now, Westmeath have been getting caught. Like Brían Cooney was against Lokeman there, and any inside forward would be happy to take on a midfielder to get a shot. Hit the post. Conor Dillon came out, got a turnover, and Westmeath are on the attack.
Here's Connellan now. Signs that maybe Westmeath are starting to grow in confidence a little. Connellan, that's not a great ball though. Trying to make something of it is Brandon Kelly. Lovely pickup. Got away from Harry O'Neill. Back onto his right foot. Expertly done. Brandon Kelly with a fabulous score. And that's 3 in a row for Westmeath, and suddenly they're down just 1.
Yeah, that was a brilliant score by Brandon Kelly, but again, everything was set up with a turnover by Conor Dillon. He was aggressive on the arc and Lokeman, and that's the first time today anyone has got aggressive with Lokeman.
Scored 2-1 in the opening round win over Longford, Brandon Dillon. He's got 1 here today. His younger brother Dean was part of the minor side that beat Dublin in this year's Leinster Championship, so there's plenty going on in that household this year.
Westmeath have just made a positional change off the screen. Danny Scahill's gone on Lokeman and Conor Dillon's gone back in on Eoin Cully. Conor Dillon had a great game against Meath, Mark and Jordy Morris. They just made that change there off the screen.
Well, we said they'd have to spread the scores in the absence of Loughlin. Their 6 scores today have come from 5 different players. One of those was from Baker. Lovely dummy solo. Back in onto his left-hand side. There's been a sparkling in this Westmeath attack, and they have got 4 in a row to level the game here approaching the half-hour mark. And there's been an incident in the middle of the field now. Mark McHugh is on the field, absolutely furious with an incident that took place while that ball was being kicked over the bar. McHugh is showing no signs of calming down after that. Now, what was seen, if anything, by the officials?
Yeah, look, the game is kind of getting away from Kildare here a bit. Westmeath are after getting the last 4 points in the shots. They have that bit of momentum. I wonder, is there a bit of a kind of rough and tumble out around the middle there to kind of slow that game down and maybe have a break in the play for 2 or 3 minutes, and Mark McNally seems to be buying it.
My memory is not great, Dave, but I think you did that to me a couple of times when we played against each other as well.
We did, yeah, but we didn't get caught on camera.
No, well, look, great score by Senan Baker through the dummy. Mark Dempsey's not an easy man to turn, as we talked about, David. Senan Baker came in off his left and got a score.
Yeah, look, Mark Dempsey's probably not the most agile man in Kildare, but to me he's probably the best stand-up tackler in Kildare.
Martin McNally just explained it to Shane Allen what happened there. He's happy to let it go on. Maybe instigated by Shane Allen, according to Martin. Sorry, Dave.
He's accusing Shane Allen of looking for something that maybe wasn't really there, feigning injury, which is pretty direct stuff from the referee.
Yeah, look, that's after taking 2 minutes off the clock. Kildare gone for an overload kick out here, but again Westmeath win the break.
You just can't get their hands on the ball at the moment, Westmeath, or Kildare.
Yeah,
Westmeath are very much on top.
That was very interesting to kick out, because Kildare actually loaded inside and loaded outside, left all the middle free, but it gave Westmeath 3 free men to get the break.
There's the ball carrying ability of Connellan, and it's opened up the space for Brandon Kelly. That is now 2 for Kelly, 5 from play for the full forward line of Westmeath in this first half.
It shows the importance of winning those kickouts, especially the opposition kickouts. Kildare weren't set once Westmeath got that break, and it gave Brandon Kelly a bit of space to get into, and ultimately an easy shot for a guy of his quality.
And he took a while to establish himself in this Westmeath squad. Brandon Kelly made his debut in 2020 and has played very little football for the senior side since. But they are really working very well together, this Westmeath attack, and they lead for the first time in the game. Here is Connellan, so often the catalyst for this Westmeath side all over the field, but in particularly from their attack point of view in this first half an hour. Here's Sam McCartan. Oh, he's pirouetted away from Kerwin, and maybe it'll turn out well for them in the end. Left-footed effort as that's across the face of the goal and wide from Senan Baker, who's also found his form as the half has developed.
Yeah, if I were playing in there, David, I'm not sure about you, but you'd be expecting your forward just settle that. He actually had time to curl that over the inside of the boot, went outside of the boot, Senan managed to keep it in, but again a wide for Westmeath.
Yeah, I was wondering, was he playing with a bit of an advantage, because he did get a bit of clatter in the back, but obviously he wasn't. He had another 10 yards to run into John.
Westmeath and Connellan breaking that one up really well, and Connellan has his hands on it now. Little pressurised as he laid the ball back towards Tadhg Baker. Well, Westmeath will not want the half-time whistle to be blown at this rate. Connellan just keeping the ball on the edge of his boot as he assesses his options. Here is Sam McCartan. And it's open right up for Sam McCartan here. Turns back towards Tadhg Baker. McCartan once more. Tries to measure a little ball inside to his midfielder, Brian Cooney, who picked up a really good position in by the end line. Oh, he's done very well. He's got around Tommy Gill! And he's rattled the back of the net! Brian Cooney with a fabulous finish!
Oh, what a goal from Westmeath. I was extremely surprised that Kildare had pushed up, but when Kildare had pushed up, Sam McCartan saw the gap, went through it, and what a piece of magic from Brían Cooney. Yeah,
it was just the absolute directness. I don't think Tommy Gill expected him to turn to his right and go in the end line. He probably thought that most forwards, as they do, or midfielders as they do, to peel back out for a loop. So direct, and they got the reward.
So Westmeath have now scored 1-5 without reply. And they're running this Kildare defence ragged. Here is Kevin O'Sullivan. Back out it goes towards Shane Ormsby. We've seen a good bit of the ball since coming in for the injured Matthew Whittaker.
McCartan just put up the hand there to just slow it down, and I was just going to say, maybe contradict my own statement about slowing things down. I mean, Westmeath just went off the cuff there. There was no routine plan there with Brían Cooney. They just saw the opportunity, a big piece of magic, and Westmeath got a goal, and you need that in championship games as well.
McCartan's playing with an advantage here, so on the edge of the arc he pulls the trigger knowing that they'll be able to come back for it. And trying to rile the crowd up even more was Ray Connellan there, and he got a huge reaction from the Westmeath contingent, which are right beneath us here in our commentary position in O'Connor Park. They are flying at the moment.
Yeah, I think on that goal from Brian Cooney, back to you, your point there, John, like sometimes inter-county footballers are probably conditioned or coached to do things a certain way, but Westmeath are kind of tearing up that script, and that's probably kudos to Mark McHugh that he's allowing that directness and that kind of free flow in football.
Yeah, when you do that, you do run the risk of, you know, you're taking that shot, it might not come off. It happened a few times here at Westmeath, but they've gotten themselves settled into the game. That goal has given them a great lift. They've got on top of the kickouts, and here's Sam with a two-pointer free chance for a two-pointer.
Incredible, an opportunity to put Westmeath into a 6-point lead. Just a blink of an eye ago when they were trailing by 4. That's going to drop well short, and it's going to curl to the left and wide.
Yeah, very unusual from Sam McCartan. We did mention it earlier on, probably carrying a little bit of a hamstring into the game. He injured his hamstring last year in the club championship, has been trying to get back to 100% strength, but just untypical from Sam McCartan from that free.
Yeah, Kildare have been struggling now the last kind of 15 minutes, and they have a big overload here now with Callum Bolton and Kevin Feely on left hand side, so I expect it to come out here.
2 first half minutes remaining. Really good take, and important one too from Callum Bolton. Someone needed to take a little bit of initiative underneath that kick out just to give Kildare an attacking platform. They haven't had one for quite a while.
And with that kick out as well, that was made by Kevin Feely, screening Ray Connellan, who's really dominating the skies at the moment.
And it goes to Kerwin. Kerwin with no real angle to work from there. Working it back out is Eoin Lawlor. As far as Dara Swords.
It's now very important for Kildare not to kind of go and chase the scoreboard here. If they can get a score within the next minute and a half, that'll be a good outcome to go in 3 points down.
Kerwin gets the hand pass away. And just sliding into the space, looking for a desperately needed score for Kildare. A 2-pointer put over by Dara Swords. And what a tonic that is for a side that were coming under increasingly Westmeath pressure that they have struggled to contain, but that's what that meant for him.
When you have talent right throughout the forward line and you go 2v2, two men got drawn to Dara Kerwin there, and it just gave a bit of space for Dara Swords to get a 2-pointer, brings him right back into it again.
First 2-point score of the game. Now Cully back onto his left, looking to swing one over. The momentum is swinging one way and then the other in this first half. Kildare with 3 points without reply, and they're back to it in 1.
Yeah, we're really getting the game here now. Momentum's going, swinging every 30 seconds here. Kildare have their spell. It looks like we could get the hooter. I don't imagine that we get another chance before down.
It's probably a little bit of the scoring end that side that Kildare are playing into. The big thing that stands out to me from the attacking perspective is that Kildare just managing to get in that bit quicker and easier than Westmeath into the 21.
Well, it's been an absolutely brilliant finish to what was a very good first half. Westmeath struggling for the opening quarter, took total control around the middle of the field. Brian Cooney's goal was a really well taken effort, but Kildare have hit back with 3 points in the final 60 seconds of that first half, and that leaves just one between them in this crucial Leinster semi-final. It's Kildare 10 points, Westmeath 1-8. We'll have analysis to come after these.
Yep. But what a game we have in our hands here in Glenisc, O'Connor Park, and next week as well. We've more Kildare action. This time it is in Leinster Hurling Championship when they take on Galway. That's followed by Waterford and Cork in the Munster Hurling Championship. So loads to look forward to here on GAA+. But the game here on our hands at the minute, Shane McEntee, it started off maybe a fast start from Kildare. Westmeath, they grew into the game. Kildare again, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, there's been loads of ebbs and flows, and
the kids are enjoying it.
Both teams came out pretty hot. I thought there was really good intensity from both sides. There was a bit of a lull where Kildare looked pretty comfortable, and Westmeath were really struggling to get any sort of pattern going. And then they've come storming back in, and Kildare responded very well at the end, which was really important because all the momentum had firmly gone Westmeath's way.
OK, we need to talk about the goal, because what a goal this was for Westmeath and Brían Cooney. Unbelievable stuff. Rare you see a goal like this.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And it came off the back of just a decent period of Westmeath domination. They're getting heads up, getting the ball in, and just a bit of ambition. And we kind of saw this 2 weeks ago, and the same again there. Unbelievable little Jenkins sidestep where he looked like he had about a yard or so to work with. Like, hard to have a huge issue with how Tommy Gill defends this, because he just didn't look like he had the space to get inside there. And the finish, I mean, I'd say he had about the diameter of a ball of space to put it with real pace. And as I said, that came off the back of them really coming storming into the game, and just a massive moment.
You could see off the back of that, the momentum just shift. It gave them a lift, and you could see them getting the scores then off the back of it. Yeah,
and the crowd got into it. As I say, it was alarmingly similar to 2 weeks ago here, and just how the whole energy shifted, the crowd get going. The Westmeath dugout are pretty animated throughout large parts of the game, and it just seems to feed into the energy. We saw Ray Connellan kind of geeing the crowd up there after winning a free at the end, so they definitely feed off it.
Well, let's have a look then at the Westmeath scores and how they built on that momentum. Like, we were talking about Senan Baker in particular as well. He was quiet, then he really came into the game too.
Yeah, he was slow to get going. This is a really important one from I think it was Kevin O'Sullivan, because Kildare looked to have turned the ball over a couple of times. Here we see Baker. He's a big, strong man. The lads talked beforehand about how he's a different proposition to what Luke Loughlin is in terms of it's more physicality based. But he kicked one off his right there. We'll see another off his left shortly after. And here's one, just a lovely bit of just ambition and goal. Like, that ball's broken. There'll be men around the country saying to bend your back and go down it, but there's just a bit of ambition from Brandon Kelly. He chips it up and goes. And here we see Baker, as you said, he got periods without being involved. Hits one off his right. He's getting pretty well stood up there. Gets half a yard of his left and bangs it over. What Westmeath have in abundance, we see just a bit of directness there from Ray Connellan carrying. Kind of from 5 to 12, they've ball carriers who can just inject pace and occupy defenders. Kildare find it hard to get set, particularly on a bit of a break like that where Westmeath inject real pace in it. It's hard to just stay in your setup and stay with a man. Fella comes on the loop and kicks a point. Yeah,
and a nice spread of scores as well. Just talk us through as well the Kildare kick-outs, because they're having joy at times, but I think when Westmeath are pressing up, they're really getting on the back of it there, and you can see they're frustrated.
Yeah, they. I think we're going to see a couple of ones that went well for Kildare first of all, and they're primarily long. This one came early, so this is just what John talked about pre-game. Ray Connellan's hit a left footer free over the far side, and he's scrambling to try to get back to pick up Kevin Feely. He can't, and they can't win that wrestling match. Again, a good long strike to an overload. Westmeath have gone brave and committed, and it comes in over the top. And then here's one at the end where David Hyland looked really clever here, because Kevin Feely does exactly what he said he might. Backs into Ray Connellan as a screen, and I think it was Callum Bolt to come in and took it. What we see here in the contrast then, there's a couple of mishits in a row from Cian Burke that we highlight here. This is almost looks like a replay of the kick we just saw there, and it's well capitalised on from Sam McCartan, and there's good ambition and good drive, and it gets Shane Corcoran into the game, and he flashed the ball over the bar from there. So they're not only just losing kickouts when they're not going, when he's not getting those clean strikes, they're not going as long, they're not only just losing them, they're under pressure and it's coming straight back down their throat.
And the lift that can give a team as well, when you're seeing the ball go out over the side, and it's exactly what you want to see for an opposition, and they get a big lift off the back of it and push up the field.
They do, yeah, they push up, the crowd gets on the keeper. You wouldn't be surprised if a few of the Westmeath players get on the keeper after one or two like that, and it just heaps the pressure on the next kick then.
Well, the Kildare goal chances as well, that was another thing we wanted to chat about. So Eoin Cully in that first half, we thought he maybe got round the keeper and he went again, but it was a massive save, and Derek Irwin got one too. Yeah,
it was a brilliant backdoor cut. He just sold Scahill there, and I thought he'd done everything right and gone around it. Jason Daly just stood up as long as he possibly could. It was excellent. He could have gone half a yard earlier with the dive and he wouldn't have got there. He does really, really well. And the crucial thing about these goal chances, they came at a time where Kildare were dominating the game. They've gone certainly 3 up on occasions, and they had a real chance to just put the game to bed here. Again, we see just a directness and a willingness from Eoin Cully to go straight at them. What Westmeath have done, we mentioned before, and how they continue to get bodies back and they scramble and they help out their defenders if they're beaten. It may have been Jason Daly who got the save in it, but there's bodies around there. No, in fact, it was the defender who got a touch on it, and Conor Dillon's even coming in on the line. And that willingness to not give up on lost causes and stay involved, you know, that possibly stops the game, open it up altogether. And Kildare building on their momentum. We keep talking about momentum in the modern game, but it's so big. So instead of that going to a 6-point game and Westmeath being under huge pressure, I was kind of thinking to myself, if they get in here 2 or 3 points down, they're going to say, okay, we've weathered the storm, we haven't played overly well, it could be gone from us, and it's not. And then obviously it took another turn thereafter.
It did. It is Westmeath by 1 at the break. We are going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll have the second half live here in Glenisca O'Connor Park. Stay with us. You're very welcome back. Well, it is Westmeath 1-8, Kildare 10 points. So Westmeath ahead by 1 at the break. Certainly have the game in our hands. And we wanted to talk about that momentum shift in particular. So it was Westmeath that had that big turnover. It was Ben Lockman who has been absolutely brilliant for Kildare. That was the only thing he really did wrong in that first half. He got dispossessed and Westmeath got up the field and got a score from it. Yeah, and John mentioned it well in the commentary. Just getting in the faces a little bit more of the Kildare players and pressurising them. And what Kildare had done really well, as the lads have mentioned a few times, they were setting up structured attacks, they were being patient, and when Westmeath were having to hand men over, the likes of Lockman and Cully were identifying mismatches, maybe going at a midfielder, whereas on that occasion Conor Dillon, who we mentioned beforehand was going to be a key man marker, he got stood up 1-to-1. And I saw him here 2 weeks ago, and he's the same today. He's brave and aggressive. He wants to make plays. He's not happy to just shadow and hope nothing comes off it.
he gets in his face, strips the ball, turns it over, and it goes the whole length, and Brandon Kelly finishes really well. And it was important as well because they'd made a couple of good chances prior to that, but weren't showing the sort of clinical efficiency they'd maybe shown 2 weeks ago, and then even against Longford previously. So that one was huge because it took a little bit away from what was working really, really well for Kildare, and then got some of their dangerous forwards involved up the other end.
And also for Westmeath as well, to lose Matthew Whittaker. Like we were talking about that before we came on air. He was in a boot during the week, so they were obviously seeing how he would go. But he's a massive loss. But they've seemed to respond to him going off, and they're ahead by 1. Yeah,
they brought Ormsby in there, and he settled into the game well. But I thought that could have been, given how the flow of the game was starting to go, that can be a real deflating blow then, losing such a key player. And he's a really energetic, again, momentum player. He kind of give those big power play moments, which they were somewhat lacking at that period. So you would have felt that was a real particular blow to their chances, but they've responded really, really well. They've got to be really happy with that, because genuinely at one stage I was thinking they just need to hang in here, or this game can get away from them, and they take a 1 point lead.
I know, and you're looking at Kildare then as well, and how they respond and come right back into it.
Look, I think that makes for a really, really good second half, and that both teams, they really will surely appreciate what's on the line here and what's there to be got at, and to see both of them respond to those momentum shifts is massive. And I think ultimately, and it's so often the case, and a very simple analogy, but it's going to be whoever maximises their period of dominance. We've seen both teams dominate for spells here. Whoever can really cash in on those purple patches on the scoreboard, because the way it goes, you do ultimately end up on the receiving end of it for a while. It's kind of how well you can hang in with it, and then just cash in up the far end.
And we're looking at the bench as well for both sides. We talked about it pre-game, and both are quite strong, but I think Kildare, we talked about a lot with Alex Byrne, Jack Robinson, these players that you can bring in and their scores.
Yeah, and I suppose they've probably added to their bench with the likes of Alex Byrne, whereas obviously Westmeath, through Loughlin's absence first of all, is already eaten into the panel element, and then you've Whittaker gone there already. But particularly up front, what Kildare have there is very, very menacing. Now, as it happens, like a lot of their forwards are looking dangerous and are causing trouble.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not really looking at any of the full forward line or Dara Sorta, particularly at 11. So there's kind of their 4 main scoring threats at the moment, and they all seem to be doing a reasonable bit of damage. So it's an interesting dynamic that's probably where you would see your biggest impact off the bench, but then I don't know who you're taking out right now as it stands.
Okay, how do you see it going?
I'll stick to my guns. There was a few minute spell there where I thought I'd called it horribly wrong, but I'll stick to my guns in that Westmeath seemed to have found that energy that I spoke about. It did seem to be absent for a bit of a spell there in the first half, but they seem to have found that energy and that intensity. So I felt that before the game, and they're a point up now, so I'm going to stick with that.
Stick with it, okay. A massive second half to come. Let's head back up to the commentary box with Dave McIntyre. David and John, are you still mates up there?
Yeah, we haven't fell out yet. I think there was a spell maybe 15 minutes into the first half where I could have hit him maybe an elbow or two, but I managed to return it.
Yeah, well, people don't know is that David actually started this analysis over the far side, and then as the game went on, he progressively got closer and closer. Now he's touch tight for the second half.
And the two teams are pretty much touch tight on the scoreboard as well, with just a single point between them. David, in your mind, who would be the happier of the two managers as things stand?
I think you can kind of flip it both sides, Dave, to be honest with you. Like, Mark McHugh will be happy with the intensity they brought and the chances that they created, but they don't have it to show on the scoreboard. Whereas on the other side of things, you see Brian Flanagan, Kildare probably haven't played a whole heap of football. They've done well at set attacks, but they haven't had that big momentum spell. So I think both of them are happy to turn the game, to be honest with you.
Well, it looks like Kildare have made a change, because Ben McCormick's come in, and we believe it's Harry O'Neill who's been withdrawn. So McCormick, hugely experienced, comes in for his 28th championship appearance, came in off the bench against Laois as well, David, kicked 4 points, so he'll be looking for a similar impact here. Yeah,
it seems like he's lined out at 11 there. Ben's an absolutely brilliant player, scored 4 points the last day, but he's been kind of playing top level football for Kildare for years. And in terms of the knock-on impact then, you have Brian Byrne going into the corner and Tommy Gill come out to the half-back line.
So no changes for Westmeath. Kildare looking for as good a start in the second half as they had in the first, but then the momentum shifted away from them and beyond them for a significant period of that first half, when Westmeath scored 1-4 without reply. But a 2-pointer and a late score in that first half just sees Kildare hanging on to the Westmeath coattails. Here they go again through Eoin Lawlor, who had a quiet enough first half. Dara Kerwin lays one off to Feely. And on the outside is Tommy Gill. Owen Cully, who kicked 2 first-half scores. Feely once more. A ball across towards Ben Luckman.
It's the exact setup you'd want Kildare to be in at the moment if you're a Kildare supporter. The kind of those good key forwards isolated on the arc, and Westmeath seem to be getting sucked in once again.
Luckman again. There's nowhere to go at the moment. Westmeath felt that he'd fouled the ball. Across it goes to McCormick for his first touch since coming on. And a little step inside Shane Allen, who's been left for dead here. Trying to give him a bit of cover was Charlie Drumm, and on-rushing on that right-hand side is Swords. They got to him quickly. Charlie Drumm, in fairness, put in a very good tackle. Back out it goes to Ben Luckman outside the arc. It's going to drop around the house, and well defended by the Westmeath goalkeeper, Jason Daly, who had to get something on it, with Callum Bolton in particular lurking close and looking to turn it into the back of the net. Daniel Scahill now getting forward. Good flow to the opening couple of minutes of this first half. Kevin O'Sullivan spots Brandon Kelly outside him, but the hand pass was weak, and it's snaffled by Brian Byrne, and Kildare can break again.
Yeah, Westmeath did a little bit better in comparison to the first half, because they still had their man markers out there when Kildare were lining up their good men. You see Charlie Drumm was out there still touch tight, and ultimately they were chasing back, but Charlie got the hand in and forced a turnover. Yeah,
I think that probably contrasts to what happened in the first half. Cooney was isolated at one stage, and Connellan as well, so that's probably something that McHugh addressed at half time.
Inside by McGrath, and now McCormick. Tommy Gill. Again, it goes quiet around O'Connor Park. And a slow build-up from Kildare. Luckman. Back for Gill. And it's McCormick. A lovely step inside by McCormick from Connellan. He needs an option to run across him, which he gets from Owen Cully. And Cully clips it over for his third of the game.
Just the angle of the run there, Dave. You see Ben McCormick coming flat across the line, and he's waiting for that run. That run comes, and that run is very hard to mark. And ultimately, you're in behind the space there. Kildare had pushed in deep. That space is open there when you break that initial line.
Yeah, McCormick looks sharp, doesn't he? He's kind of eyeing up a few lads on the arc there, and he's kind of goose-stepped into the right-hand side twice. Initially, I was hoping that they get some runners off them, but that was delayed, but Cully got there in the end.
We are level again, level for the third time in the game. Feely, across it goes to Ben McCormick. Man who's lost Leinster Championship finals to Dublin in minor and under 21 grades. He'd dearly love an opportunity to have a crack at them in the senior ranks, which is what's at stake here after Dublin's emphatic victory over Louth in Portlaoise last night. Here's McCormick. Again, that little skip off his right foot. Gets away from Scahill this time, and he's still going. McCormick looks sharp and looks quick, but not the accuracy required there. Just the third wide of the game for Kildare.
You'd be better placed than me, Dave, to say, but like as a defender, how do you deal with that? Do you get touch tight? Do you give him a few yards? How do you stop that?
Yeah, that's been on my plate a good few times, the tie in Sarsfields, and then obviously with Kildare again, but you can't get too tight to Ben McCormick. You nearly need to kind of show him that sideline and let him recycle that ball. But again, when he did break through there was no one off him. He had a lot to do. He ran 30 or 40 yards, but then again...
Well, Tadhg Baker ran 30 or 40 yards there for Westmeath. Nobody really followed him, and he did brilliantly to steady himself when required and clip that ball over the bar for just his second ever championship point.
That's an inspirational score from a young man. Tadhg has come into the team and showed real leadership in defence all year, but that's a real inspirational score.
And his dad Ollie would have been proud of that one. The Clare midfield hurling legend Ollie Baker, who has two sons on this panel, Tadhg and Senan. Away come Kildare, their cornerback Ryan Burke. Westmeath's first score of the second half has them back in front, and now they're looking to force Kildare back into a corner here. Been brought out by Ryan Burke. Oh, that was a risky one. And carrying it away is Owen Lawlor.
It's a risky take. Westmeath had a very high press there. Brían Cooney and Senan Baker went to the one man, and ultimately Kildare got out, and they're in their own 13-yard line. It's a very hard thing to do with a press, but when you take that risk, you know, you can get found out the back.
Especially McCormick again now. Will he try a similar sort of goose step and go beyond the defender? This time was Charlie Drumm. The hand pass wasn't a good one though, was salvaged though by Dara Swords, and inside it goes to Feely, back for Dara Swords. Lovely pace and tempo to the opening few minutes of this second half. Swords again, back to make the challenger Shane Allen. He had his ankle clipped as he just drove inside the arc. It could be a 2-point effort potentially for Kildare here.
I think it's Feely chancing his arm there, just kicking the ball back out outside the arc. It's on for a 2-pointer, I think, as opposed to a 1, and Mark McNally seems to have bought it.
Well, it will be a 2-point opportunity for Ben Luckman to put Kildare into the lead. They haven't been in the lead since the midway point of this first half, and we are 7 minutes almost into the second period. Luckman has already scored 3 from play. Needs that to come back a bit more, and it won't. So we'll let off for Westmeath. Jason Daly in the Westmeath goal, who lost his place to Conor McCormack under Dermot McCabe. And again for the Meath game, having started the win over Longford in round 1 of the Leinster Championship, with that unfortunate injury to McCormack, sees Daly starting back in there today. And he made one very important save in the first half. Here's Shane Ormsby now. Ormsby has a runner in O'Sullivan outside him, but he looks to play it forwards, and he might regret that decision now. Baker trying to make something of it. It's a careless pass, and the ball laid outside to Callum Bolton for Kildare. And there's been a few stray hand passes from both sets of players today. There's another one, all rather untidy. Being swallowed up here was James McGrath. He's overcarried it. Well, the referee may be within his rights to throw that ball up, because Senan Baker in particular was roaring at his counterpart when that free was given, but the referees decided to allow Sam McCartan to take this free.
You just see a high press there from Westmeath again. They started the second half putting on that high press, and they got the reward there. They got the double up, got a turnover, and Sam McCartan here now with a 2-point chance.
Well, he must be 50 metres from the Kildare goal here, as Kildare prepared to introduce Alex Byrne. Well, whatever breeze is out there, and there isn't much here today, it is favouring Sam McCartan. He might need every bit of it. Takes it closer to the 45-metre line. Certainly had no issue with distance, and there's no issue with the precision of it either. A 2-pointer for Sam McCartan, and Westmeath are back into a 3-point lead, and there is Alex Byrne, back from injury, the 2025 Tailteann Cup Player of the Season. What a guy that is, David, to be able to bring in.
Yeah, definitely. Slightly surprised that it's not Dara Swords. Ben Luckman's coming off after getting 4 points already today, but Alex came in. He's probably the most informed, best player in the county of Kildare over the last couple of years, and he got a nice welcome there by Drumm at fullback.
Foul on Feely. Taking it quickly is James McGrath. Early delivery, just with the forwards inside, we'll be looking for. Byrne introduced to the game immediately, and surrounded by Westmeath defenders. Welcome to the Leinster semi-final, Alex Byrne. Westmeath now looking to retain the momentum they have seized back with that McCartan long-range effort, as we look at Byrne just being swallowed up by maroon and white.
Great pressure, great take from Alex Byrne. Shows his class to hold on to that ball. But Westmeath showing their hunger again, getting the double up. 3 or 4 or 5 Westmeath men around Alex Byrne to turn that over. Real momentum for them.
Yeah, it's like rinsing and repeating what they were doing against Meath. They scrambled really well, didn't leave anyone isolated, while Byrne won the ball really well. It was extremely good defending, and they got 3 or 4, and they got huge momentum off that as well, and they made Alex Byrne noble.
Here is Shane Allen. It was the 7th time these counties have met in the Leinster semi-final. Kildare have won 5 of the previous 6. But Westmeath want things to be different today. Ronan Wallace. 2004, the one and only time Westmeath lifted the provincial championship title. Here's Brandon Kelly. Little show and go back inside, worked out for him. Kelly with the fist, and he pops it over for his 3rd point of the game. He's part of an under-20 side that beat Kildare in the Leinster Championship 5 years ago now. Man, he's been in and out of the panel in recent years. but he has really come to the fore today. Here is Mark Dempsey now for Kildare, who are now suddenly 4 points adrift, having started the second half really well. When Westmeath hit these little purple patches, they tend to make it count. Carrying it forward with real purpose now is Callum Bolton. Little ball to Feely. Back outside it goes to McCormack, and now Kerwin. Flips an awkward looking ball into Alex Byrne. Picked up by McCormack again. Now James McGrath. Remember, Kildare trailed by 1 at the break after scoring 3 points just before half-time. Westmeath have cancelled that out effectively in these last 11 and a half minutes. Swords will get that one back a little fortuitously, and then he's fouled by Kevin O'Sullivan.
It's a big call from Martin McAnally there. Kildare had actually committed 5 lads inside. They stacked both sidelines then with two men, and they leave 2v2 out here in the middle to try and get, like, you could see the legs were gone actually there. Once they had been out around Dara Swords, got turned over there. A bit harsh, I think.
He's actually knocked the ball away, isn't he?
A bit harsh.
Mark McHugh feels the same way.
Yeah, that was a big let off for Kildare there. They had 2 runners then as well, so it would have been open country for Westmeath had they got that, and now Alex Byrne has a 2-point opportunity to get himself into the game.
Well, it's certainly well within the remit of Alex Byrne. He's a wonderful striker of the ball, and it's a 2-point for Kildare. And Mark McHugh with a shake of the head beneath the steer. He can't believe the free was given in the first place. Alex Byrne already paying dividends with his change and his introduction. That's a risky kick out from Daly, and his risk has been rewarded by the superb fetching effort of Ronan Wallace. Here is Shane Allen. Now Connellan. He's been very quiet in this second half, and he's had the ball stolen off him by Brendan Gibbons. Forward by McGrath. Here come Kildare again now. The wind in their sails at the moment. Gibbons joining the attack. Out to Kerwin! For a moment it looked like there was a goal opportunity, but Kerwin gets the second point of the game for himself, and Kildare now are back to it in 1.
Very surprised by Ray Connellan there. He can't go into the tackle. We just saw it there. Obviously Westmeath gave away the free, but when you bring it into that tackle, you have the risk of getting the turnover. And Westmeath are very lucky because Derek Irwin was actually free out the back, so a point rather than a goal.
Yeah, look, that's probably Derek Irwin learning. Over the years he probably would have went for the goal chance and maybe kind of missed those goal chances, but he's after tagging one in on the board, and now Kildare are still in the momentum and have the driving seat at the moment.
It was a brilliant fetch in the air from Brían Cooney off the kick out, and he's on the ball again here, the goal scorer from the first half. Westmeath very narrow down that left hand side. Eventually it's Shane Corcoran who gets on the ball.
Westmeath just a little bit slow to get into the 21. They're getting lads in there now. Senan was there 1v1. They're getting lads in there just a little bit slow.
McCartan along the end line, it's flicked on and attempted to do so at least by Senan Baker. Another poorly executed hand pass. It's the sort of ball that you'd expect players at this level to routinely execute to perfection, really, but there's been so many from both sets of players, and the referee's given another free Kildare's way.
Yeah, it's very interesting what Westmeath are doing. While they have a big press, they are only committing 10 players forward. Shane Allen is sitting in front of that Kildare full back line, even under slow attacks. That's not what we've usually seen with the new rules.
Yeah, it's an interesting. We've had this discussion before. Do you go with the 10?
Well, that's a clever ball inside by McCormack, and it's opened up, and it should have been a score. A head in the hands moment for Dara Swords, who'll know that that was not what he should have ended up with, having picked up a lovely position off that through ball.
Westmeath just off the hook there. Great
take by Shane Ormsby off a wonderful kick out from Daly, and they've got from back to front in a couple of passes here, Westmeath. And like Kildare a moment ago, and Dara Swords, Brandon Kelly unable to find the target.
Yeah, that was really, really good defending. People probably wouldn't have seen it as much from Byrne. He actually stood off Brandon Kelly, who was a bit of a speedster, because he wouldn't be able to match him at pace, and he said, OK, take this shot on and see if you can score. Very good defending.
Westmeath are going to introduce Robbie Forde shortly. Man who came in off the bench to score a goal against Meath. And staying down after that kick out was Ryan Burke, referee, seeing that it is a head injury, is brought play to a halt.
Westmeath probably just haven't got to the same pitch of the Kildare kick-out as they did in the first half. There was obviously a good bit of talking from Flanagan at half-time. Burke has been able to take out lads on the sideline.
Yeah, they seem to be getting a bit of joy on the sideline, but John, you know on the new rules as well, it's hard to keep that intensity up with a kick-out press while you're going up and down, and especially when they're kind of having so many turnovers in this second half. That's what kills them, that's what drains the legs.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of seeing with the pace of Westmeath not getting inside. It's probably just a high-risk game they're playing there, and a high press as well. You know, it's a lot of energy sapping.
Robbie Forde coming in for Kevin O'Sullivan for his 17th championship appearance. Kildare going to make a change of their own as well. Brian McLaughlin will be coming in. Pretty experienced operator from Clay in his 13th championship appearance. So he was down to start wearing 10, and he'll be introduced in just a moment. Part of that brilliant under-20 side that won the All-Ireland 8 years ago in 2018. It was their first All-Ireland title in any grade since the mid-60s. And several of that side have gone on to the senior ranks in the intervening years. Dara Swords is the man withdrawn. Well, this game is beautifully poised as we enter the final 20 minutes. Just a single point between them. Place in the Leinster final at stake. From a Westmeath point of view, a place in the All-Ireland at stake. And just a 4th ever championship victory over Kildare. Picked off here by James McGrath. Little ball inside. First touch immediately into the game was Brian McLaughlin. Back it goes to Gibbons. Westmeath surrounding the ball. Feely. Long range effort outside the arc from Callum Bolton. It never looked remotely on target.
Yeah, James McGrath gathered the ball really well. Wouldn't be a man now that he had down his soccer skills, but took it really well. Garnered the opportunity for Bolton, but the defender did commit. He probably could have went inside with him, and he had open country in front of him then.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the arc. It's always tempted to take that shot. Maybe it wasn't the best decision. In hindsight, not.
Daly looking towards this sideline, looking for Brían Cooney. And again, Westmeath's management team felt that was a foul. Little ball over the top by McCormack. Callum Bolton now stopped quickly though, and the ball went back by Westmeath. They've forced some really effective turnovers in defence today. Here's Tadhg Baker now. Laid off to Charlie Drumm. Early delivery, just as he'd like it for Brendan Kelly. Being pursued by Brian Byrne. 2-on-1 over on that far side. And Kelly looking to beat the two of them. He's a little isolated right now. Lovely ball, incisive one back inside. And a chance with his first touch for Robbie Forde. A lot of air on that one. It's going to drop short. And it's still not clear. Down goes Charlie Drumm, who continued on into the penalty area. Real scrap for possession. Drumm will chase this one down. And that will be a Kildare man bringing the ball away. And it's a really good piece of defensive play from Eoin Lawlor.
That came from the turnover here. Who was it that got through? Callum Bolton, I think, got through. In on goal. Sam McCartan stayed strong. Got the turnover here. Another double up as we talk about that swarm in Westmeath defence. Brían Cooney came back in. Get the turnover, and that leaves Kildare unsettled at the back. Game is back on here now.
Yeah, it's very interesting there. Westmeath do seem to be puffing, like they had 5 men at the back there when Kildare had their 11 fully set. James McGrath, a bad turnover here now.
It's a really poor ball from McGrath, straight to Robbie Forde, who's been hounded by McCormack. No foul there either, and Mark McHugh is losing his life again on the sideline. Here comes Callum Bolton. Bolton rides one tackle. The referee's playing an advantage for Kildare. And an opportunity here for Tommy Gill. And it won't come back for Tommy Gill. The advantage has elapsed. They won't come back for it. The referee had awarded it Kildare's way. And Westmeath will feel there was justice done on that occasion.
Poor shooting from Kildare, let's be honest. That should have been a score. But we saw a little bit of tussling here midfield. Robbie Forde, was he a bit unlucky? Then we see Brían Cooney and Ben McCormack tussling again. Lucky that the referee let that play on.
Danny McCartan will be in next for Westmeath. Another player who came in to good effect against the Meath men in the quarter-final and scored a goal. Being carried forward now by Brian McLaughlin. There's a real sense that this game is bubbling along nicely as we get close to the final quarter of an hour. Senan Baker will be the man being withdrawn when Danny McCartan comes in to join his brother Sam on the field in just a few moments.
been a lot of energy up and down. The next 50 minutes is going to be crucial. Who is able to make that decision under pressure when the body is tired? The mistakes are going to be interesting in the next 15 minutes, David.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can see Kildare kind of blowing now at the moment, and they're taking this thing out again to reset. And likewise, then Westmeath, they'll be happy that kind of things have slowed down a bit. So they'll need this ahead in the next few minutes.
Really good tackle from Scahill there on Byrne, but the Kildare cornerback managed to retain possession. Brian McLaughlin ups against using Kerwin and tries to send one to the terrace side here in O'Connor Park, and it's picked off by Bolton.
I don't think Kildare can afford to have another turnover here. There's been a couple of energy sapping ones there. Bolton, Lokeman turned over. They can't get another one of them here. They'll just drain the energy.
Kerwin to his left is McLaughlin. Ball inside, and it's another strong effort that's going to tail away, but just inside that left-hand upright. Feely was certain, he was pointing to the skies in salutation long before that ball approached the post. It's his first of the game. We're level for the fourth time.
Yeah, come with the hour, come with the man. Feely went into that kind of deep block that Kildare been putting 5 inside, but he always shows really well to the D, and he came and he wasn't followed, and he even had the time, the luxury to turn over on his left foot and swing that over. A lovely score.
It's the 74th championship point that Feely has kicked for Kildare, and it could be as crucial as any of them. When it's all done and dusted by the end of the game, we shall see exactly how vital it might be. Daly goes wide, and it's really well executed from the Westmeath goalkeeper. Here's Conor Dillon now, the wing forward, very deep, looking to get Westmeath back onto the front foot, carries it into the tackle. Kildare pressing very well, but Westmeath have managed to play their way through it and then over it. Now Scahill. They've 3v3 inside Westmeath, but they're just going to slow it down a bit again. Connellan, who's had one of his quieter times either side of half-time, but he could well be to the fore in the final throws of this semi-final. Sam McCartan now. Nothing between them. Into the final 15 minutes. There was a foul there on McCartan, and Westmeath will have an opportunity from a part of the field where in the first half they struggled. Sam McCartan hasn't struck the ball very well off the freeze today. Mark McHugh becoming increasingly animated on the sideline.
Probably no need to have a foul there. You know, you're given a 2-point opportunity from the free, and we talked about the mistakes. You're getting into that melting pot now. Kildare just after drawing level, give Sam an opportunity for 2 points. Big kick.
Well, this is as difficult as it gets for Sam McCartan. This would be 2 points, but psychologically what a blow it would be to Kildare if McCartan's able to swing this over from all the way on that far side. That is an absolutely wonderful strike. His second 2-point effort of the game. 4 points from McCartan, and Westmeath back into a 2-point lead.
Yeah, I thought John Heslin was the only Westmeath man that was able to kick those.
He's a club mate of mine, so it looks like I'm off freeze for the summer as well. Hopefully he can get another few here today.
Well, they've gone short with a kick out. Mark Dempsey takes it for Kildare. Little dummy hand pass, which you don't see too often, was well executed. Now Brian McLaughlin. Westmeath will be in the Tadhg Cup if they don't get the job done here. Kildare will be in the All-Ireland regardless of the final result, but they would dearly love to progress to a Leinster final against Dublin. They haven't won the Leinster Championship in 26 years. Mick O'Dwyer was in charge the last time they did that. And that's the sort of gap they're looking to bridge. It's a 22-year wait for Westmeath. And one of Maguire's protégés in Pádraig O'Shea, who had the reins in the Lake County. Here is McCormack. And now Feely.
See Jack Robinson.
Tommy Gill.
Warming up on the sideline here. I'd expect him to come in for the last 15 minutes, and I wouldn't fancy marking him after putting in that 60 minutes from a Westmeath full back line perspective.
Jack Robinson back in the Kildare setup this year after playing for New York in last year's championship. Here's Ben McCormack. Tommy Gill, when he was static as that ball arrived, he was never favoured to retain it, and now Westmeath will look to break as quickly as possible. Looking for an option is Conor Dillon. Oh, they've been dispossessed. And now Kerwin, or for left-footed effort from McLaughlin rather, never really looked set for that, the wing forward from Clane, and it's a 7th wide of the game for Kildare. They have 7 wides apiece as Robinson's introduction is confirmed.
Another huge turnover from Westmeath, though. Danny Scahill came back, blind side of the attacker, and managed to get a hand in, slapped it away. Tadhg picked it up. But what David highlighted there was Westmeath are just they're on their feet. When they got the turnover, it's hard to get lads back up the field again, and led to another turnover from Westmeath.
Luke Loughlin, one of the onlookers here, right on the sideline, as that's a brilliant fetch from Shane Ormsby. What an impact he's had coming in the first half for the injured Matthew Whittaker. Now Robbie Forde, almost approaching the hour mark. Westmeath leading by 2. Forde continues to make progress. Out he goes to Ray Connellan. Ray Connellan with the outside of the boot. That would have been a sparkler of an effort if he'd managed to find the target. 8 wide instead for Westmeath, who are preparing now to bring Ian Martin, who's now just taken to the field. The man from the Downs club comes in for his championship debut. Joint captain as the Downs lifted the county championship title last autumn. He captained the side along with Luke Loughlin. He comes in for Shane Corcoran, who scored 1 point today.
Like you mentioned about Jack Robinson, I wouldn't fancy marking Ian Martin now for the last 10 minutes. If Westmeath can get the ball in his hands, it'll cause a bit of trouble.
Well, what a way to come in and get your first taste of championship football. Could he be the hero? 10 years since Westmeath last competed in the Leinster final. They've only managed to get there 4 times in their history. Here is Tommy Gill. Now Alex Byrne. Across it goes to James McGrath. Still a lot of time with the clock. No need for Kildare to panic just yet. Trailing by 2 points. McGrath gets it back again and slips it on towards Feely, who took his eye off it. Back out the field it goes, and laid off by McLaughlin to that far side. Kerwin onto his left foot. He rather snatched at that one. It'll come straight back down on the edge of the D. Connellan managed to get something on it, and bringing it away is Charlie Drumm. And now there's a break on for Westmeath, being led by Brían Cooney. Space down the right-hand side for Sam McCartan as he cuts right through the middle, in fact. Breaks in towards that 45. Might take it on himself. McCartan, little jig back onto his right, clips it effortlessly over the bar. That is 5 points for Sam McCartan.
Attendance at today's game, 12,086. 12086.
Another big turnover from Westmeath. Darragh Kerwin, just a high shot. It just probably wasn't on again, rushing things. Westmeath got the turnover and opened up for them.
Yeah, Kildare seemed to be going away what was working really well from the first half. They were kind of death by slow attacking away. Now they're kind of giving away those silly turnovers. Here we have Alex
Byrne almost stripped by Connellan, lays the ball inside. And it's still there for Jack Robinson, who swivels and puts the ball over the bar for a much needed score for Kildare.
Still though, like that was a really strong goal opportunity, but the Westmeath defence held well, and Jack only managed to get a point off.
It's very interesting changes that Mark McHugh made. You know, 2 of the inside 3 are fresh legged, whereas there's been a lot of work by the rest of the lads out the field. Hopefully it doesn't come against them, but freshen things up inside.
And Jack Robinson, who hasn't played in the championship for Kildare since they were beaten by Monaghan 3 years ago, has got a very important score potentially. So a foul committed there by Brían Cooney, the goal scorer, and it's his goal that has helped Westmeath retain this lead. They still lead by 2. Kildare will feel they have the capacity to turn this around again. They trailed by 4 at 1 point in the first half, as indeed did Westmeath at one stage. Here's McLaughlin. Kildare looking to reach the provincial final for the 37th time in their history, but the first time in 4 years. 2 teams will face each other in Division 3 of the National League next season, but there's an awful lot of championship water that needs to flow under the bridge before then. Lovely strength, good running from McLaughlin, pops it onto his left and kicks it wide. 8th wide of the game for Kildare.
Yeah, really well orchestrated move that got McLaughlin into a scoring zone that you'd want him to be in, and just hooked it right.
Long kick out this time from Jason Daly. And that should be a Westmeath line ball, and it is. And it'll be McCartan with the ball. 7 minutes to play. Launches one down that right-hand side. Lovely take and run from Ian Martin, who's got himself into the game. comes back out from where it came to the centre half forward Sam McCartan. Back in again to Martin. McCartan was the willing runner inside, just took a defender away from him, and Martin saw his name in lights, couldn't get that one to come back in, and it was touched on the way through, so will be a 45 for Westmeath.
Time is starting to run out here a little bit for Kildare. They've gone forward, they're getting their chances, but they're just dragging them balls wide. Like, you know, that hooter's going to come. Happy from a Westmeath perspective to see those balls going wide, but the chances won't keep coming.
Yeah, definitely. Even as 45 here as well, this could burn a minute and a half in total off the top.
And Davy Burke looks on at the man in charge, Brian Flanagan. Well, McCartan has struck a couple of wonderful balls in this game. He's also miscued with a couple as well. He's 5 points to his tally, a couple of 2-pointers in that. What can he deliver here? He tries to clip that goalwards, and it's another poor effort. It's been a mixed bag from him today, but he certainly has been a huge influence, as Luke Loughlin can barely look.
Yeah, I think from open play he's been brilliant and kind of instrumental in driving them forward here in the second half, but from place balls he hasn't had a lot behind him.
Played wide by Cian Burke. Broken down by Westmeath. McCartan looking for the run of Martin, and laid off to Mike McCartan again. Martin, little double cut in behind, and it's fisted back to the Kildare goalkeeper Cian Burke, and it's a good ball out to Ben McCormick. 5 minutes remaining. Kildare have to find the scores from somewhere. There's that potential goal opportunity replaying on the right hand side as Kildare make good inroads, and there's a slip there by Robinson, straight back to his feet. Little ball inside towards Feely. Feely is swallowed up. Seemed to throw that ball away, and it's been delivered out wide to Cully, who pops over the ball for his 4th point of the game.
Yeah, I think Kildare will definitely feel like they got away with one there. Feely was well wrestled up and well harried up there, and I think he just threw the ball out, and Cully got one over the bar, but yeah, Westmeath will feel hard done by.
Oh, he managed to get the left hand through the ball, so it was a really good piece of skill from Kevin Feely in the end. So a good call from the referee. Kildare have made another change. Colin Moran has come in, made his championship debut against Laois. He's part of this year's under-20 setup. They beat Meath on Wednesday. He is one of their joint captains, but he was not involved because perhaps his manager had bigger plans for him here today in this senior semi-final. Moore did play, he kicked a few points in that game. Now that I see it, could he maybe deliver something here in the closing minutes of this second half?
Yeah, Colum's a really versatile player. As you said, he's joint captain of the 20s, and he's really driving it on. A good win for Meath over the weekend. He could play anywhere from 5 to 15.
These counties met in the under-20 Leinster Championship this year. They will meet in the minor championship as well in a week's time, and here they are today, having already met in the O'Byrne Cup final earlier in the year, and we are heading down the stretch here, and there's just a single point between them. Brian Flanagan said to me before the game, in his eyes there's absolutely nothing between these two teams, and it looks like he's been proven right, because right now they're going toe to toe, looking for an opportunity to have a crack at the Dubs in the Leinster decider. Here is Robbie Forde. 4 minutes remaining. It's an awful long time for Westmeath to try and stay in position and play towards the hooter. Here's McCartan. Back towards Cooney. Cooney looking to drive inside, maybe get a shot away. He's lost the ball, he's slipped, and Kildare might be able to bring it away now as they come forward in search of an equaliser. Referee's playing an advantage for Kildare. Ball played wide by Byrne. And coming onto the Kildare attack is McCormick. Goes beyond Kerwin. How many more chances will they get to take a shot at an equalising score? Kerwin now, quick glance to the post, and Kerwin fires in between them. We are level. 3rd point of the game for the Nace man. 18 points apiece with 3 minutes left.
Yeah, that was brilliant by Dara. The last game in the semi-final, he led the line, but now he's kind of doing more of a workhorse roll out around the middle. Found his 2 opportunities, second point, big squeeze on from Kildare.
Will there be a winner, or are we headed for extra time? Here's Conor Dillon. Plenty of time for either of these sides to step up and take the victory. Who will get the last shot off? Here's Tadhg Baker. Now McCartan. McCartan with his head up, looking at his options, screaming for the ball of Shane Allen. Allen has it now. Allen looking for the chance to be the hero. Shane Allen struck it clean and pure. It's a fabulous score from the centre half-back, who's only ever kicked 1 point in championship football for Westmeath. Well, he's just doubled his tally with a raking effort to put them back in front.
Great score from Shane Allen. That actually came from Sam McCartan, won the kick out, got the ball back right through the middle, made a smart decision.
Almost grabbing the kick out was Ian Martin. That's a foul by Ray Connellan. Well, the referee's given it the other way.
Call.
I do think it was the right call. Colin went down the left arm, pulled him down.
Well, this was a crucial decision for the referee, denying Kildare an opportunity. Well, he has grabbed the arm of Ray Connellan. It's not often referees spot that.
Great call from the referee.
Yeah, brilliant referee. And again, this is one of these clock eaters that we really think Daniel Scahill is going to kick this over the bar. I think he'll be happy enough if it goes dead and we hit 30 seconds left from the kick out.
Daniel Scahill not run out as a free taker. He's come out to take this. It must be 51, 52 metres with the angle. He's going to lump it in around the edge of the square and hope for the best. There is just over 60 seconds remaining. Kildare have that time to make their way down the entire length of the field. There's going to be another change. Westmeath are bringing Eoin McCabe into the game. Yet to feature in this year's championship, made his debut against Kildare last year. And the man being withdrawn is potentially the match winner in Shane Allen. So Kildare, they have just over 45 seconds to go the length of the field and force extra time. This is where the tactical fouling will come in, led by Brandon Kelly. Solo will go for Kildare. They are 30 seconds on the hooter. They have to manufacture a shooting opportunity. Now Brian McLaughlin. This is where the hooter system brings in such tension in the closing seconds. Laid off by Lawlor. 20 seconds remaining as they break inside the arc. Comes back out again. On the loop is Alex Byrne. Byrne inside. Shrugs off the tackle. And Byrne puts it over the bar. We are headed for extra time. Alex Byrne with a brilliant score.
Massive score from Alex Byrne. They were looking to get their shooters on the ball. Alex Byrne, Sam unlucky, just couldn't get his feet right. Alex Byrne got the shot off and point.
And there goes the hooter. Kildare have come back when they needed it most. Alex Byrne coming in off the bench, kicked 3 points, a 2-pointer, and that wonderful score to ensure that they will have life in them yet. Mark McHugh and Brian Flanagan will have to go deep into the well again and chat to their players in this intervening break between normal and extra time and try and get their players firing again. We knew there'd be so little between them, and there is nothing between them at the 70-minute mark. It has gone full time in O'Connor Park and it is finished. Kildare 19 points, Westmeath a goal in 16. We'll have extra time after the break.
You're very welcome back. Well, let's take a look at this. Alex Byrne, we talked about him before the game, and he kicks the equaliser to bring us to extra time. Incredible stuff from a sub off the bench, and 3 in total today. A 2-pointer as well, Shane. We were looking at each other saying, will it, won't it? And we're going extra time.
Yeah, I think you nodded to me halfway through saying this is a feeling of extra time, and you're dead right. Followed a similar pattern of kind of, waves of momentum for either side. We're going to look at a bit where I think Kildare will feel they had ample chance during the game to at least stretch leads on some occasions, but can't say we're not getting value for money anyway.
And for Westmeath in that second half in particular, they really stepped up. Yeah,
I think from the outset there was a couple of clear examples early on where they got just a high press on. It seemed like quite a clear tactical approach from whereby any time a Kildare man was in possession, particularly even high up the field, they were getting after them, getting in their face and just trying to make them uncomfortable.
And let's have a look at a few of those examples. Like we were talking as well off camera just about those turnovers that were crucial.
Yeah, they were huge. And again, we keep talking about it. Westmeath as a team seem to really feed into the energy. Like, you're getting bodies around here. There's nothing worse. You're the Kildare player left at the bottom of the pile there. There's 2 or 3 fellas over you. You know you've given away a scoring chance without necessarily doing a whole pile wrong. John mentioned in commentary here, Alex Byrne actually done really well to win that ball. But the Westmeath fellas were just alert. Notice he's gone to ground, get in and get quick around him. We're just seeing loads of examples of that. Fellas coming off their men, maybe gambling a little bit that if the pass goes away, they're leaving themselves exposed. But sometimes I feel playing with that element of risk, it nearly sharpens your senses. You think, well, if I'm going to go here, I have to go fully.
Yeah.
And that certainly seemed to pay dividends. And we'll look at some of the misses Kildare had, and they'll be disappointed with it, but some of it has to be put down as well to the level of pressure and intensity coming from the Westmeath team.
I know, and Kildare, they've had their chances. They just didn't take them. They're going to be looking back at some of those wides and kicking themselves.
Yeah, and I think it might have been David during the commentary there mentioned how they've gone away from the level of patience they showed in the first half, and in that first half in particular, they waited for the right moment. That one's possibly not the worst area, but I mentioned that the Westmeath pressure, they're not allowing them just get a shot where nobody's coming into post. That was a very poor miss from Dara Swords there at a key time where they've gone up and down the field a couple of times without joy. That's just a force one. Yeah, there's obviously great reward in the 2-pointers you can get them, but they've got to be from a good position where you're not being massively pressured. That one there from Brian McLaughlin came off a couple of turnovers either direction, and you just need to show that patience that David talked about and getting it to the right fella. When Westmeath look back at this, Kildare rather look back at this, there'll be so many times where they felt they'd done maybe 90% of the work in terms of creating a good shot and just didn't finish it out, between a mix of poor execution as we saw and possibly just hurrying it a little bit.
Yeah, at times it just felt like they were under a lot of pressure and they were taking the shot on. There wasn't that composure and that patience that we saw, but we did see it. Alex Byrne at the end, he had all the composure in the world to put us to extra time. Just talk us through this, and I suppose what it's like to be in that pressurised situation too.
Well, I don't know what it's like to be pressured with taking the last shot for sure, but like that's just so good because there's so much to consider there. Like he has his back to the clock here. He doesn't know exactly how long's left. He knows he doesn't have much, so it's such a fine balance between I need to get this shot off, but we also only have one shot at it, so it can't be rushed. One interesting note on it, that move started with I think it was Gibbons being fouled in the corner down here behind us, and Westmeath had obviously already decided to make a sub. I think it was Shane Allen looking to come out after kicking the point, but by that sub being made, there was maybe 50 seconds left in the clock. Mark McNally has to stop the clock, and it doesn't roll on, and it means they get the full run of what was left, whereas had the clock kept running, if they disregarded the sub, say if that wasn't in play, Westmeath might have been able to go down more of a cynical route. We've seen teams use the clock with this before and foul and reset and just reduce the length of time. So I'm sure it was a decision they made before the ball was in that position, but if they had the opportunity again, I think they'd have said, Shane, you're sticking this out here for for the last 50 seconds.
I know, it all comes into it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be back here to Glenesk O'Connor Park because we are going to extra time in the Leinster semi-final. Stay with us.
Could remaining supporters on the pitch please make their way back to the standard terrace, please?
You're very welcome back. But we are going to extra time here in the Leinster semi-final in Glenesk O'Connor Park. It has been unbelievable seeing so far, and there is more to come. Shane McEntee's still with me here. I think overall, for the opportunity, we're seeing it in the fans, the amount of people that turned up today, it means a lot to both sides to get into a Leinster final.
Yeah, it does. I mentioned before, Henry, there's just definitely a renewed appetite for possibly all the provinces, but definitely the Leinster Championship this year, and that's seen in the crowds that are here and the noise and the buy-in. Like they're fully, very, very much fully invested in what's going on out there.
And we're seeing it in the players too. We do want to talk about Sam McCartan and his influence today for Westmeath. 2 2-pointers and a 1 point for play as well. He's been sensational. Yeah,
he's been brilliant, and you want your main fellas to stand up. You know, a lot has been spoken already about how they're missing possibly their marquee players, so you're really looking for your other leaders to stand up and carry the burden. And his kicking, it's funny, his kicking off the ground has looked very poor, but his striking from hand has been excellent. Two 2-point efforts, one really good one from play, and his ball carrying, his turnovers, his playmaking, any free, say that's held up and they want to get a good passer on it, if there's a sub being made or whatever, he comes out, he takes it, he generally makes the right decision, and they're kind of adventurous, progressive passes, while still being accurate. I just thought he's been excellent. He's really carried the fight really well.
And both teams are really going to need their experienced players now to step up in this extra time. It is different, you know. Obviously, it's a lot of time on the legs for players too. Just how you handle it. Experienced players will be good in this scenario. For the younger ones that are maybe out here as well for the first few times in Championship, which we're seeing, because Westmeath in particular are a very young team.
Yeah, and it's a different level of pressure they're exposed to. And when you get tired, like there's nothing better when you're struggling to put one foot in front of the other, of just having a voice just telling you what to do. Thinking requires a bit of energy, and to take that away from you, if you have a Kevin Feely or a Sam McCartan on the Westmeath perspective, directing things and just taking that element out of you, it makes a huge difference. And also, you get to a stage of the game here where you can kind of maybe choose not to see the work that needs to be done. If somebody tells you and somebody makes a point of pointing it out to you, you're left with no choice but to go, and you tend to find that energy that you mightn't have thought you had.
And you will need fresh legs. So we were looking at the subs beforehand, and we were saying the likes of Alex Byrne, Jack Robinson, Ben McCormick, the big players for Kildare, they're all in there.
Yeah.
Who do you see coming in that maybe for either team could really make a difference now in this second half, or extra time even?
Yeah, I think Colin Dalton is possibly an obvious one for Kildare. He could bring a bit there. And what I'd be really interested to see is how Alex Byrne holds up for an extra 20 minutes. Like, they obviously, he's well regarded as one of the top players in Kildare. Like, barring injury, he's starting.
Yeah.
They obviously felt he had, max, let's say 25, 30 minutes, whatever he got in for. So now you're almost doubling that with a bout of extra time. And then you've got to think, down the line, well, even if we were to win the game, how fixed are we if he can't tog out in 2 weeks' time? So I'd be keeping a key eye on that. Like, as David Hyland well spotted before the game, he didn't even take part in a lot of the more intense stuff of the warm-up. Such seemed to be the effort of reserving your energy. And interestingly, Ben McCormick and Jack Robinson were the same. So they're all in there for possibly longer periods than they might like. So really interested to see what way they handle that.
While you're looking at Kildare and Kevin Feely, we spoke so much about him before the match. Like, players like that, this is a massive moment for them. They'll be looking like they've been so long soldiering with this team. To get back to a Leinster final would mean everything. Yeah,
it'd be huge. And fellas like that around the middle, like, as the legs go, the likes of your kickouts, you're probably going to end up with more contested possessions, where possibly there's not the same energy and the same zip out of fellas to run into the space. So it's great for us watching, it's great for spectators, but it puts an added emphasis on your big, let's say, your Ray Connellans, your Kevin Feelys, to really dominate that area. Possession, like every single possession, every period where you have the ball coming down the stretch here is of such importance.
We're having a look out here now onto the pitch, and it's Kevin Feely is the only player that is out on the pitch waiting, ready to go. Maybe there's mind games in that, huh?
Yeah, well, we see Ronan Wallace coming out now to join him for the toss, and the Westmeath fellas behind him. But yeah, interesting that the Kildare, the rest of the Kildare team seem to have stayed inside. We see them coming now, but yeah, interesting. Kevin Feely came out on his own there earlier. I see Alex Byrne and Ben McCormick. A lot of heavy strapping on a few of the Kildare fellas throughout the game, and James McGrath earlier seemed to have a bit of strapping on from the outset, so their bodies are really going to be tested now.
Good stuff. Okay, well, let's get you back up to your commentary team. It is Dave, David and John.
Yes, thank you, Ash. It looks like Kildare have made a change in the intervening period while they were being spoken to by the management team, and Aidan O'Rourke heavily involved, the Armagh All-Ireland winner from 2002, but that is Pádraig Spillane from Athy that they have brought in just to bolster their ranks as they get ready for the first period of extra time. He was part of last year's under-20 setup, David. It's his championship debut. This is high-stakes stuff for me coming in to get your first taste of senior championship action.
Yeah, look, we put a lot of kind of power into Pádraig. He's a really, really good full backline player. I think if he was fully fit, he got all the key marking jobs on Paddy Lynch, Shane McGuigan and all them in the league, so I've no problems about him if he's fully fit to get going in there.
Westmeath have brought Adam Treanor in from the Shandonna club. It's just his second ever championship appearance. Came on against Longford in the opening round of this year's Leinster Championship. And what a Leinster Championship it's proving to be for Westmeath in particular, who need to win here to maintain a place in the All-Ireland Series. Kildare are there anyway, no matter what happens, courtesy of their Tailteann Cup Championship victory last year. Trying to break the tackle and get in a goal is Colin Moran. Lays a little ball back outside to the man of the moment who got the equalising score, Alex Byrne. Gets it back from Feely, who was left waiting for 4 or 5 minutes for his counterpart Ronan Wallace to come out and get the coin toss underway to see what way they would be playing. Kerwin, who got a big score to get Kildare to within one before the full-time whistle went, gets another one here. It's his fourth of the game. That's the opening score of extra time.
Yeah, it was a replica of some of the moves that Kildare put together in the first half particularly. I'm wondering if Feely got out early in order to get the pick whether he wanted to go headers or tails, because they had this specific way they wanted to play in the second half.
So it's Kildare who have started both halves of the game and now the first period of extra time pretty well. Now Feely, cross it goes to McLaughlin. A bit of space on this right-hand side now for Colin Moran. Another member of the county champions contingent with a tie. Was he dragged down there? Referee was right on the spot. Saw nothing in it. Ball gets worked back out to Byrne. Steadies himself and then pulls it a little. And that brings Kildare their 9th wide of the game.
It was Kildare's second shot. We're not even 2 minutes into extra time, and I think that's a big thing for extra time here. Just Kildare are able in the game just get more shots off sooner. Going over is a different story, but the Westmeath style play, a war of attrition, heavy on the legs.
Good short kick out gone away by Jason Daly. Was there a foul on there? Referee didn't see it. Laid off now to Daniel Scahill. McCartan, a lot of space down the right hand side. It'll be taken on by Tadhg Baker. And now Ronan Wallace, the captain for Multifarnham, and a lot of space for him to move into, and he's taken the opportunity to do exactly that. Nobody went to him, and it's over the bar. Ronan Wallace with his first score of the game. Belatedly, Eoin Lawlor finally tried to engage with the Westmeath captain, but it was too little too late.
Yeah, probably just heard me there and wanted to show me up, because they got that fairly quickly. Great score from Ronan Wallace. We can see more of that from Ronan Wallace for Westmeath in this extra time. It'll put Westmeath in with a good shout.
Will an extra time be like that, where they swap score after score? Kildare win a free in the middle of the field. Taking it on is Colin Moran. Here's Alex Byrne. What a reaction he had to his equalising score. It was a lovely ball measured inside to Robinson. Robinson trying to elude the clutches of Scahill. And the ball was like a bar of soap there for a moment. Byrne again, a one-handed pass, and the referee says he can't do that, and Westmeath an opportunity to bring it away.
I think Westmeath would be happy enough with that one from Martin. Maybe someone was holding his hand here, he couldn't get it away. But yeah, Westmeath lucky to come out the right side of that one.
Yeah, there did look to be a foul involved, but the referee didn't spot it. He's seen most things today, the Monaghan whistler. Here is Wallace, little ball down that right-hand side. Taken on by Corcoran. Westmeath looking to go back in front. They held the lead for much of that second half. Kildare finally pegged them back. Sam McCartan had a lot to say in that particular regard. He's lost the ball though. Now Byrne. And there'll be players hitting the deck with cramp, and there's a Kildare player signalling that he needs to come off on that far side. There's a lot of space inside for McCormick. If they could just find him, it may well reach him in the end, trying to flick it in his direction. It didn't quite come off. There will be a free in though for Kildare.
Yeah, it was a quick transition from Kildare. Feely actually found himself in that full forward spot, showed himself as an outlet, used his body really well, and Jack Robinson clicked the ball over to Eoin Cully and got a kind of cheap enough free there. It was fairly reckless.
Kildare are going to introduce Colm Dalton when they get an opportunity. So standing over this free is Brian McLaughlin, who hasn't actually scored yet today. But he has struck that one pretty well. So they're back in front. Daly goes down that stand side, measured it beautifully. It was taken well. Pretty good position picked up by Shane Ormsby. As we see the celebration from McLaughlin for that free. Westmeath, there was a foul in there. Referee wants play to continue. Back out it goes towards Ormsby again. A little bit of space for Sam McCartan. McCartan just considered taking one on the edge of the arc. Turns back onto his right. What a block that is from Eoin Lawlor. Was never really on for McCartan, and that has sent Lawlor into cramp. That is going to be a feature of the next few minutes. These players so brilliantly and expertly conditioned, but the amount of time they spent in the field today is now really starting to take its toll.
Sam just thought he probably had an extra yard there when he took that shot. Both players actually went for cramp after. Just shows you the intensity of the game.
As it goes to Ben McCormick. McCormick gets his head up. There was another ball inside. He's given it to Alex Byrne, who's struck it off balance. Kildare into double figures in the wides count. And we remain at a 1 point lead for Kildare as that change is made and Colm Dalton comes in, replacing Ryan Burke. Dalton from Salins, All-Ireland under-20 medalist 3 years ago now. He made his debut in the championship against Westmeath last year. And now Westmeath making a change as well. Matthew Whittaker back into the fray, replacing Sam McCartan. Well, that's an interesting one, John.
Look, Sam McCartan's been excellent for Westmeath today. He probably came into the game still recovering from a hamstring injury he got last year, but he's been phenomenal. Just cramped up after that last one. But it's very interesting to see Matty Whittaker back on after coming off early in the game with injury. And he's on the ball already.
And he looks to be moving pretty freely. Whatever was the issue, as he was brought off in the first half, they've clearly been working on it. And they've managed to get him back in the field. Just a big boost. Losing McCartan, obviously not great from a Westmeath point of view, but to have Whittaker back in certainly is an addition. 3 minutes left in this first period of extra time. Westmeath trailing by a point. Trying to take it to the Kildare defence is Robbie Forde. Little ball over the top. That's a wonderful pass from Forde, and it's blocked and then buried in the back of the net. Oh, what a moment that could be! Brandon Kelly takes his tally to 1-3 on the day, and Westmeath with their second goal of the game back into a 2 point lead, and that is as good as an assist from a hand passer you'll ever see. Into Cooney, whose effort was brilliantly saved by Burke and palmed home by Kelly.
Fair credit to Robbie Forde. He took Alex Byrne on, backed himself, managed to get the hand pass away, as you mentioned, Dave, and the rest is there. Brandon Kelly there to palm it into the net. Now
Colm Moran for Kildare as they look to respond immediately, and Moran has done so. And we're back to a 1 point game.
It's a good response. Cooney went in on the end line again for Brandon Kelly's goal. Got a mismatch with Ben McCormick. Knew he probably wouldn't be as concentrated as a orthodox corner back would be. Good response from Kildare.
Daly again down that stand side towards Connellan this time. We have not really seen Connellan in the game in the second half of normal time, but he did brilliantly to break that one down. And forward they come through Danny McCartan. Danny McCartan skips inside, little ball out towards Robbie Forde. McCartan gets it back again, and he could not hit the target. 10 wides in the game also for Westmeath, 20 between them. Kildare making another change. James Harris has come in for Eoin Lawlor. Harris coming in, last year's Kildare under-20 captain, who made his debut in the quarter-final win over Laois, comes in for his second taste of championship action.
Yeah, Ronan Wallace was extremely quiet today, and the reason, if you're kind of a step removed from that, is because Eoin Lawlor was tagging him. Absolutely brilliant performance, and one that the centre back would recognise. Really good from Eoin Lawlor.
Connellan coming back into the game, gave a good ball up forward towards Corcoran, who picks out Charlie Drumm. Charlie Drumm with the 4, and it's another Westmeath scorer. They've had such a good spread again today. 10 against Longford, 10 different scores against Meath, and it's been a very similar story today as Charlie Drumm gets his first ever championship score.
I said at the start of extra time that Westmeath were working harder to get their scores. They're after getting in behind this Kildare defence a little bit easier in extra time.
That's now 11 different scores for Westmeath today as Ben McCormick puts that to the left and wide. And what an opportunity that was. Westmeath leading by 2.
A wide like that is as good as the score for Westmeath at this stage, you know, and probably the wides for Kildare, not only have they built up, but they've probably come at a great time for Westmeath as well. It's nearly like getting a score. It's compounded the score that Charlie Drumm just got.
Yeah, they're just momentum drainers, and that sucks the life out of you.
Well, the hooter will go in a couple of seconds as Daly goes to that same place he's been targeting for the last few plays. And the hooter goes wild. Kildare on the attack, and there is the half-time whistle. Well, obviously level after 70 minutes, but that goal from Westmeath is a hammer blow for Kildare, and it means that Westmeath lead by 2, heading towards the second period of extra time. There will be a very short interlude here as the Westmeath players and subs went onto the field trying to get the crowd riled up again, John. This has just been wonderful drama served up by these two sets of players who have poured their hearts and souls into this Leinster semi-final, and they continue to give more.
Yeah, it's really been fantastic from both sets of players. You know, we probably said during the break there that the Westmeath team, the style of play, they're up and down the field, probably more war of attrition. We probably expected Kildare to come out in the second half and maybe just have that edge, but Westmeath have come out, they got their goal, they got their scores, and they're really, really working hard for each other.
Yeah, it's like they've got their second win, and they're really kind of winning that midfield battle now, and when they do win ball around the middle on their own kick out, they seem to have kind of free road in front of them.
Well, Mark McHugh, in conversation with his goalkeeper Jason Daly, has got some very good kickoffs away during that first 10 minutes of extra time. At what point do they have to start considering who their penalty takers are going to be? They'll hope they'll get the job done in the 10 minutes that are left here, as he drags his team in around him, trying to exhort anything they have left in the tank from them. The man who knows what it takes to scale the mountain, having won an All-Ireland 14 years ago now in his All-Star year, as his father had done 20 years before that. But he is a young manager, Mark McHugh, as is that man Brian Flanagan. What will he be saying, David, to his players? Because it's very difficult to ask any more from them.
It is very difficult. They're after putting a lot into the game, and I still do think that they're getting a lot of joy from those set attacks. They're probably taking on some shots now. They're kind of pulling shots. They're a bit off the cuff. It's a bit chaotic. If they can get back into that set play, they could get a bit of joy. They're after bringing in a bit of pace around the middle, and Colm Dalton and Colm Moore, and they're adding to it. So I think they will get the opportunities, but there's not going to be much left in the legs to be kicking 2-pointers here. We need to work set attacks in order to kind of grind Westmeath down and get it back.
Yeah, and that's what seemed to be working for Kildare. Like, you know, we talked about that. Those wides are kind of compounding the energy and maybe sapping for Kildare and maybe adding it to Westmeath as well. But when you're in that environment and you see the opposition taking shots that they inevitably or arguably should be scoring and they don't, you can nearly feel like today is your day. And that kind of gives you a little bit more energy, a little bit more enthusiasm to go out. And I'm going to go through this pain barrier because actually today is our day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Mark, you can say no more. He has done his job. The Westmeath side that have improved and put that devastating nature of the defeat to Wexford when they seemed to have promotion to Division 2 of the National League in their grasp. And they bounced back emphatically against Longford, and even more so against the Division 1 side as of next season in Meath. But can they see this one through? They're leading by 2. Kildare, though, were trailing by a couple of points heading towards the final throws of normal time and managed to dig their way out of trouble. 10 minutes away from Westmeath or Kildare in the Leinster final, or indeed a penalty shootout. Well, that was a hefty challenge coming in from Matthew Whittaker. And slowly getting back to his feet is James Harris.
Yeah, both players likely to feel that a little bit in the morning. Nothing intentional there, just going hard for the ball.
Good championship football.
Whittaker, hard to believe he was taken off early in the first half with what we can only imagine was an injury. And he's probably the freshest man on the field, or one of them at least, as Byrne stands over this Kildare free. Kildare trailing by 2. Little ball dinked in by Byrne. Coming out to meet it was Jack Robinson. He wanted on his right foot. Lovely footwork for Robinson, but he came under a little bit of pressure just as he got the shot away. 12 wides now for Kildare. Daly down towards Ormsby, who's been a really useful kick-out target, but it was fetched brilliantly by Brendan Gibbons. Gibbons back out to his midfield partner Kevin Feely. And now Brian McLaughlin waits for the runner to come up alongside him, and Dara Kerwin. And Kerwin knew he had not struck it well as soon as it had left his instep. 13th wide for Kildare, and they are painful ones.
Yes, 2 in quick succession. Again, you'd be expecting Dara Kerwin to kick that ball over the bar. He actually even had time to settle himself down. Again, feeding into that, this could be Westmeath day. Those balls just not going to the bar for Kildare.
Well, Jack Duncan will be in to make his championship debut in a moment. His brother Harry was part of the Westmeath under-20 side that were beaten by Kildare last week. As Mark McHugh looks to use every bit of the resources he has in his extended panel available to him. Here come Westmeath again though. Forde opts to go with the fist and almost turning it into a goal chance, and that far post was Charlie Drumm. Forde really should have put it over the bar, but Drumm nearly raised the 3rd green flag of the day for Westmeath.
Yeah, if that had went over the bar, 3 points up with 8 minutes to go, it would have been extremely hard for Kildare to claw that back.
Kildare have to find a way, as they have done so often in this game. Carried forward at real purpose by Colm Dalton. McLaughlin now. Needed an option inside, but there was no one really making a move for him. Here is James Harris. McLaughlin again.
Kildare just aren't stacking the lads on the 2 sidelines as they were in the first 70 minutes of the game, or getting lads inside as much.
Kerwin blocked down, breaks to Byrne. Back out towards Kerwin. Was there a foul there? The referee will play away, and Westmeath can bring it away. Matthew Whittaker, he does look fresh and sharp. Could he be a real difference here? Steps back inside. Whittaker's carried that a long way, but he hasn't been able to supply the finish. As Westmeath make that change now, Duncan will come in for Tadhg Baker.
Yeah, Matty Whittaker probably just had Ray with him. He had options, you know, getting a shout in there, keep that ball. We're after getting a turnover. Another wide for Westmeath too.
Well, Duncan, who was part of that Westmeath under-20 side that won the All-Ireland B Championship last season, replacing a teammate in that team in Tadhg Baker. We have got 7 minutes left. Westmeath are leading by 2. There's been some tired shooting from both sides in this second half of extra time. McCormack carrying the ball forward, goes for a long, tired-looking hand pass. And they're the sorts of mistakes now that will creep into the game, increasingly so in the coming minutes. Connellan trying to get away from Brian McLaughlin, who brings him down. Here come Westmeath again. O'Sullivan lays one off to Robbie Forde. It's opened up a little for Robbie Forde. Tried to steady himself before unleashing the shot, and that has gone wide. That's a couple of really debilitating wides from a Westmeath perspective. And both of them coming from Robbie Forde in that last couple of minutes.
Yeah, no team seemed to be able to get a score on the board here. Colm Dalton carrying the ball forward with a bit of intent.
Here's McCormack. Little ball forward towards the edge of the arc. Taking it well was Robinson. Robinson trying to elude the clutches of Scahill. He's been followed now by Whittaker. Scahill gets into double team in the tackle. Robinson fetches it again. There's nowhere to go on that far side for Kildare. Trying to make something of it is Cully. Cully's done really well. Needs to find a pass. Goes down. No foul. And Westmeath try and bring it away through Shane Corcoran.
Great work from the Westmeath defence there. Unbelievable at this time of the game.
5 minutes left now. Scoreboard and the clock very much the enemies of Kildare, who will look to bring Bren Lokeman back into the fray if they get an opportunity. McCartan, Danny McCartan that is. His brother Sam has played a huge role today as well. He's back in the stands. Running it back towards the halfway line was Ray Connellan. Well, they were unable to defend a 2-point lead heading down the stretch of normal time, Westmeath. Have they learnt their lesson? Just 5 times in the county's history have they managed to reach the Leinster final. They are 4.5 minutes away from doing it for just the 6th time. Here's Connellan. He's played in 2 Leinster finals himself, in 15 and 16. Oh, it's a poor ball. Somehow they've managed to retrieve it through Shane Ormsby, who's had a wonderful game. Laid off to Whittaker. They're potentially coming forward, looking to seal this. Little ball in towards the 21-yard line, where it's taken on by Duncan. Duncan's ball is a good one, and it's fisted over the bar by Robbie Forde. The 12th different scorer of the game for Westmeath today. Robbie Forde's had previous chances which he hasn't taken, but no mistake there.
Kildare went for that turnover up high, just raised hand pass, they nearly got it, but what it actually enabled Westmeath to do, there was 5 lads lost from Kildare into that attack then for Westmeath. Westmeath had a lot of options and eventually got a score.
Ben McCormick limping heavily has been withdrawn.
Yeah, they seem to have got a second wind here, Westmeath, and obviously that'll come with coming 2-3 points up. 4 points left for Kildare here with Alex Byrne carrying the ball up the pitch.
Well, there's plenty of time for the couple of scores that they need, unless of course they manage to get a goal. Oh, Byrne carries it wonderfully, great balance, lays it off to a man outside him in McLaughlin, and in turn it's Robinson. Robinson off his right foot has put that one over the bar. Kildare ain't done just yet. 2nd point of the game for Jack Robinson.
Yeah, really well executed score. Alex came down the middle with a lot of intent, beat a few tired bodies and had the smarts to pop the ball out to McLaughlin, who in turn popped it out to Jack Robbins for a nice tip over the bar.
Westmeath are about to bring in Eoin McCabe, who's not played in the championship yet this year.
And they're now gone with a man-to-man press.
Daly down towards Connellan. What a fetch that is, and how timely it is too.
Huge catch from Ray Connellan. Possession so key for Westmeath now.
How crucial a 3-minute period is for Westmeath. They'll know in about 3 minutes time whether they're playing in the Tailteann Cup or the All-Ireland Championship. As that change is made, and in comes Eoin McCabe. They could be looking forward, John, to a home tie in the opening round of the All-Ireland series in a couple of weeks' time, if they can see this one through. Obviously a Leinster final to play first. There is so much at stake over these next 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, huge for the county. I don't think any of that will be going through these lads' head at the moment. They're just looking to get the last bit of energy reserves they have in their body. But huge for the county. These lads have put their shoulder to the wheel today, as they did against Meath, and hopefully from a Westmeath perspective they can get across the line, but it's not over here yet.
2 points between them. 2.5 minutes remaining. The Kildare goalkeeper Cian Burke is out to contest that free, and he's won it brilliantly, but he may have lost it. He's turned it over, and a chance to seal it for Westmeath here. There's the score that puts them 4 clear. His first touch. Eoin McCabe is only on the field a few seconds. Ice in the veins there as he put that one over.
Kevin O'Sullivan had little options there, but he actually made the right one, because Westmeath had actually 3 men, 4 men, 5 men around that break when they eventually forced the turnover from the keeper. Great score from Eoin McCabe, huge one.
And again, we talk about the spread of scores. He's the 13th different player to score for Westmeath this afternoon. Is there a way back for Kildare? They're going to need 2 scores, and one of them will need to be a goal, unless there are two pointers in their game still. Unless than 2 minutes remaining. The kick out was fetched brilliantly by Byrne, and off he goes again. He refuses to throw in the towel here. Sends one in long. It's 3-on-3 in there. Feely had gone in and couldn't get his hands on it. He may have damaged a finger as well in the process as Westmeath bring it away through Jack Duncan from Milltown. They're seconds away as the ball is played over the top to Danny McCartan. They're finishing strongly, Westmeath. The referee's playing an advantage for Westmeath here. In it goes to Kelly. Brandon Kelly trying to manufacture a shooting opportunity. Brandon Kelly gets his 4th point of the game, takes his tally to 1-4, and surely now Westmeath are home. Surely now they can look forward to a Leinster final against Dublin. Kildare finally look like their spirit has been broken. 60 seconds away from the hooter. The referee's going to bring that ball up for an infringement. But Kildare have to find the back of the net here on more than one occasion. They launch it long. Daly punches it away right beneath his crossbar. Half a minute left, and Westmeath can celebrate if they have the energy to do so. They may be so physically exhausted they could do nothing but lie down and ponder what they've managed to achieve here. Here is Brandon Kelly. Inside it goes to Eoin McCabe. He keeps the ball moving. Adam Treanor now brings it on. 15 seconds left. Westmeath's fans can now start to celebrate in the stands and the terraces of O'Connor Park, because they have done an incredible job here on the back of a brilliant victory over Meath, who will be in Division 1 next season. Just the second time they'd ever beaten Meath in championship history. Well, the record against Kildare isn't much better, but they've improved it here today. Incredible scenes at Glennisk O'Connor Park in Tullamore. For just the 6th time ever, Westmeath have reached the Leinster Senior Football Final. What a wonderful moment for Mark McHugh, his players, and for the county of Westmeath, who beat Kildare for just the 2nd time ever in a Leinster semi-final. And John Heslin, that is just a wonderful moment for football in the county.
It's brilliant. Look, we went it up here. The war of attrition those lads went through, the running up and down the field, the turnovers, the defensive swarm. They got the look when they needed the look as well, and it's just great scenes for the county to see them celebrating now into another Leinster final.
David, your thoughts? We're all breathless here. Can you imagine how the players feel?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant game from a neutral perspective, not so much from a Kildare side, but absolutely brilliant game. I think Westmeath in the end, extra time, were full value for their win. They kept the foot to the pedal and really came out the right side of it. I think Kildare will rue some of those turnovers, specifically in the second half and then into extra time, along with the poor conversion rate.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone can say that Westmeath didn't deserve the win today. Like, you know, I talked about Westmeath beating Meath